Previously on Transformers.
Earlier today, I intercepted a communication between Megatron and the Decepticon double agent involving a plot to kidnap Autobot Bulkhead after discovering he's the galaxy's foremost expert in space bridge technology.
At long last, I will lead my troops back to Cybertron.
Too bad there's nobody left for you to lead, Megatron.
Megatron, my old friend. Thanks for doing all the hard work for me.
Yeah, as we close out too, that moment, the other thing I wanted, the reason that animation is so great, it's very much this like Magneto, Children of the Atom, like it's sort of like articles surrounding like the atomic core. It's really done, really cool.
Yeah. I am still riding on the high and coming down off of the excitement that was Cybfest Northwest. It feels like it was just yesterday.
I like to think about the Mike Seibert 2 years ago that was like, the fuck is Ultra Mammoth? And now here we are.
Starscream's got the hots for himself because like he's rolling up to Slipstream like flirtatious, and even like kind of he's like, so what aspect of my personality did you come from?
She's the one that's just like, haven't you figured this out yet? Like, it's so obvious. Like that this is the brains of the operation here. This is the cunning intellect, whatever small sliver, Starscream has or chooses to not use a lot of the time, is presented here. I like that a lot.
Decepticons, transform and rise up.
Mike! So many Mike! So many Mike! So many Mike! So many Mike!
Well, hey, guess what, friends? This is it. It is time for the season finale, season 2 finale of Two Mikes, Two Furious Animated Transformers, and the season 2 finale of Transformers Animated. My name is Mike Seibert. I'm your first-time viewer. I've never watched Transformers Animated before this project. And joining me, as always, check it out now, right about now, he's the Spark Soul brother. He's my friend. He is author Michael Andrews.
Thank you, Mike. Glad to be here. I was hoping we could add like Pizza Poppin' Daddy to that title when we do the next intro. Should we call it?
You got it.
Well, Pizza Poppin' Daddy thrown in.
Pizza Poppin' Daddy. Hey, you know what? The Pizza Papa always gets paid.
That's right. That's right.
So there it is. There it is. We'll see what we could do for season 3, because spoilers alert, we are coming back for season 3. So don't fret about that.
We have to at this point. We're so far in. We're down the rabbit hole.
Exactly. Maybe we could have tapped after season 1, but no, we didn't. And now we done all of season 2. So now we got to close it out with season 3. We're under contractual obligation, right. Legally binding. We're in a legally binding contract with our friends and our fans. So yeah, the dog days of summer are here, or depending upon when you're listening, maybe you've been listening to what Florence and the Machine has to say. Maybe the dog days are over. But anybody doing a summer reading out there now that we're kind of closed out with the summer? Maybe dip into the coming of mage duology. What are out there?
Yeah, that I will say, that's a book that I do not promote year round because it is really a summer read. You should read it during the summer proper. I don't know that it would hold the same majesty in the winter. If you read it when it's cold and snowy out, I don't think it's very much a summer story.
Exactly. Absolutely. So, hey, Michael Andrews, if somebody wanted to find those books that you wrote, where would they be able to do so?
Yeah, please Google me and my name and Coming of Mage and War for Mage on Amazon.com. Published through there, and you can order as many copies as you want. 5 to 100, your pick, as long as minimum 5. No, I got to pay for that Ultra Mammoth somehow. I need some extra help, so buy my books.
Yeah, there you go. It's much like the Once a Man Cobra Commander. It's like it's got a limit of 5, but that doesn't mean you need to buy 5, but you could still buy 5. So buy 5 copies of Coming of Mage and its sequel, A War for the Mages, aka Two Mage, Two Furious. Can't change my mind. That's what the book is called.
Right. I'll add that page in, maybe a little.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we are kind of hip deep into it at this point. We are picking up with a Bridge Too Close Part 2, which again, somebody call Billy Joe Armstrong. Like he's getting ready to go to sleep as the dog days of summer are over. This episode kind of sort of connected in time, aired on July 5th. 2008, which of note is the same day that A Bridge Too Close Part 1 aired. So they did air parts 1 and 2 in tandem, at least in the US and Canada. So I thought that was kind of interesting because, we had talked about in our previous episode how the season 1 finale, Megatron Rising, really feels like one continuous story, where I had posited that A Bridge Too Close Parts 1 and 2, while they can't live separately from each other, but each episode kind of has its own flavor in a way that that Megatron Rising Parts 1 and Part 2 do not. So that'll be kind of interesting as we discuss this further. But again, season 2, episode 13, overall episode 29, A Bridge Too Close Part 2, airing on July 5th, 2008, and written, of course, by none other than the one and only Marty Eisenberg.
Yeah, I wanted to bring that up because I feel like last episode I kind of skipped over the fact that Marcia Griffin wrote the last one with kind of in tandem with Marty Eisenberg. This one's a Marty Eisenberg proper episode, but I don't know that I was giving her enough props in the last episode as being the writer of that one. But yeah, speaking of great writers, that was going to be my transition.
I love it.
We're talking about Marty Eisenberg proper episode. And yeah, like you were saying, there's just something different about it. Endgame's a really great analogy. It's nice. I like it. I like that there's kind of this breath between the two episodes that there wasn't in the first season finale.
It's interesting though. So the part 1 has a pretty cool cliffhanger with Starscream and the clones. Actually, all is lost. Like, it's a very much a Empire Strikes Back situation. Like, the space bridge is activated. Megatron is about to enact his master plan. Optimus Prime is terrified, but then boom, here comes Starry and the jets again. But yeah, it's a Starscream and his clones, and the action picks up immediately with that. Starscream and his clones are immediately on the attack, and these guys are pretty proficient in their attack there.
Yeah, I do think it's really funny how we closed out the last episode. When we last saw Starscream, he's standing there sort of godlike. I compared him to Magneto, Children of the Atom. The jets are circling around him. And it cuts to this. It's just them all zooming right at the camera. The speed lines, the close-up, it's all there. It was a real, this is more the Starscream I expected, right? Like the last one was so grandiose, and now it's like, oh yeah, here he is just screaming at the thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, to your point, very proficient. He's got his own little army. We're all kind of wondering how they're going to perform, and they seem to kind of they kind of reminded me of like Ultron, all the the Iron Mans maybe when they're all in sync, all his suits. Very proficient.
Yeah, there is a weird synchronicity to them in combat that isn't there when they're just talking.
Yeah,
it's kind of fascinating. It's like somehow maybe there's something in them that knows when it's time for action. Like maybe that's like the personality trait that unites all of them.
Right. Oh, yeah. That's a good take on it. Yeah, some thread has to be there to connect all of them. I guess combat is what it is.
So there's amid the chaos, the Autobots kind of free themselves because they're kind of like glued to the wall because of Mixmaster's concoctions. I think like it's either it would be Scrapper has Blur and Bumblebee, like a couple fussy toddlers under his arms, hanging on to them. And while this is happening, Bulkhead and Isaac Sumdac are kind of having this legislation about how to deactivate the space bridge, and meanwhile, Lugnut and Blitzwing are still under the influence of the stasis cuffs. They're stuck, so they are out of the fight. And the thing I also like when we're intercutting with this argument between Isaac Sumdac and Bulkhead, where like, you know, it was all of the subtext of what we were talking about in the last episode of like, well, you know, we didn't expect you to actually do it. And Bulkhead is kind of to the effect of like, well, of course I was going to do it. Like, what did you think? Like, it kind of underscores that Isaac Sumdac really doesn't think a lot of Bulkhead. Right. And so like he genuinely thought that Bulkhead was just playing along, and it didn't even occur to him. It didn't even occur to Isaac Sumdac that Bulkhead might actually not only know how to fix and maintain and build space bridges, but also that he's a savant genius for it. It's like it didn't even enter his mind.
Why did you make it work in the first place? What were you thinking?
This coming from the guy who rebuilt Megatron.
Yeah, I mean, what a weird moment. There's such a mixed bag of emotions here because on one hand, you could also look at it. You could look at it that way, and you could also look at it that like maybe the one thing Sumdac knows about Bulkhead is like he'd never betray his friends or never knowingly do something for Megatron, but he did it. There's like this genuine gasp from Sumdac that it's like, no, you really built it. Like you did the thing. It's just such a loaded moment for him. And then you're also like the other half of it is like, oh, he is a genius. Like, I don't know anything about this guy, right? Like, it's just like, what the hell's going on?
Well, and it's interesting also, and I think maybe I need to dial back on some of my rhetoric from the previous episode, because like in Auto Boot Camp, it's not necessarily explicitly stated that he's a master technician at space bridges. It's just that something he wants to do, that you know he might have an aptitude for, but you know what? We all want to do things that maybe we're not qualified for or have the skills for. So just because Bulkhead wanted to be a space bridge technician as part of his elite guard training, that doesn't necessarily make him predisposed to doing that. And even recontextualizing that scene with him and Bumblebee, when like the last bit of the flashback in Auto Boot Camp, where we loop all the way back around to the beginning, where Bulkhead is jubilantly saying that he's made it and that he's a space bridge technician, and Bumblebee is there for that. There isn't anything there that says, I am a space bridge genius, and Bumblebee is witness to that. He's not. So I maybe need to kind of tamp that down a little bit, because like I had said in our previous episode, I was kind of annoyed by how every character is completely downplaying Bulkhead at every turn. Like, you know, the Autobots are surprised, Megatron is surprised, even Shockwave / Longarm is surprised. So it's like, and especially coming off of this thing with Isaac Sumdac here.
Well, that's really interesting. Kind of, now that you say that, I wonder, it's making me rethink this a little bit of like, I wonder if being a master grade space bridge technician isn't as illustrious as it is. I mean, on Earth, it's a big deal. It took Isaac Sumdac all this time to learn it. Not everyone can do it. But I wonder if it's like the equivalent of like being a really good plumber or being a really good electrician. Like, those are jobs in our society which are very, very important. They're not looked on as very like highly regarded positions. But so maybe space bridge technician is like, yeah, you can fix the space bridge when it breaks down, sure. But it's only when you really need one and you can't find one that you appreciate the job.
I love that. And that really dovetails kind of back in with some of our conversations about Bulkhead. You know, he's a dude of the earth, you know, he's like, you know, he's a farm guy, and the Constructicons are blue collar workers, you know, so it's like, I love how that all kind of like ties in together.
That would track.
Yeah, I really like all that. I think finally, after like 2.5 hours of explanation, I think we kind of finally
landed on something that works.
Exactly. So Megatron is pissed off. He's just like, again, with all these fucking Starscreams, my God.
It will take more than a few pathetic clones for you to defeat me, Starscream.
But like, you know, I love how colorful this fight is. And again, not to pick on the live action movies, not to pick on you, and not to pick on Matthew Barbario, but What I've June is long over. What I July is long over.
Summer's over.
Exactly. But what I love about this fight is because of like all of the different Starscreams and the Constructicons, and everybody is distinctive. It's a colorful battle, and you can tell everybody apart, which I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah, I'll agree to that. Visually very stunning. And yes, especially the Decepticons in the live action movies, not a lot of color to speak about there.
Yeah,
all right. I'll let you have that one.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I do like that Scrap and Mix are kind of, they really kind of don't know what to do in this situation. They're really kind of thrust into a world they never made.
Hey, yo, I never bargained for this. I'm a builder, not a fighter.
But like, it's not until you shoot a hole through Mix's barrel of oil beer there where he gets really mad. He's like, oh, God damn it. Now I'm mad.
Yeah. Well, it really plays into like that bar fight stereotype, right?
Yep.
Like it's the record scratch moment, you know, a bottle breaks over the wrong guy's head kind of a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, hey, I was just trying to have my drink here. And suddenly you're a fighter. I thought that was a really like in character way to bring them into the fight.
So Thundercracker or Egomaniac Starscream, I guess. I don't know. Are we calling these guys by their toy names, or how should we refer to these?
I think we better use toy names here. It could get pretty hairy.
Very good. Very good. So you get this thing where Thundercracker mixes it up with Mixmaster, pun intended, who ends up getting bound in cement. Your dude Ramjet runs afoul of Prowl and gets some shurikens to the legs for his trouble and ends up in a stasis cuffs.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, throughout all this, like Optimus is trying to figure out how to deal with the space bridge. You get some sweet grappler action.
I really love this. A couple things in this moment. One, Megatron being very Megatron here. Like he's harried. He's definitely like being taken down a notch here. It's more than he can handle, but he's still the Megatron we know and love. Like he's recalculating on the fly and sending out orders and like doing all this stuff, just pivoting in the moment, adapting. And yeah, this moment with Ramjet, I think this might be why Ramjet's my favorite. I mean, I like the colors for sure, but this exchange when he gets cuffed and Prowl says something to the effect of like 1 down, 5 to go. And then it zooms in on Ramjet and he's like, I'm not down. In fact, I love being here. I could escape anytime I want to. Like,
I just don't want to.
Yeah.
It's so funny, but it's also so realistic to the pathological liar. Like one of the traits of the pathological liar is lying about things you don't have to lie about, right? Just lying for the sake of lying. I don't know. You could admit this one, right? Like you're down, but he just can't. It's just, I'm not down.
Yeah. It's weird because it's not quite bizarro. Like he's not like speaking backwards or anything, but like, yeah, literally everything is a lie. So it's like everything you have to invert everything he says, which sounds incredibly exhausting. Like goodness.
Right. But this is also I would say this is a very core trait of Starscream to have teased out of the Allspark. Like the pathological liar is pretty much how he survives. I think more so than any of the other components of his personality. I think this is the one that he would need back for his scheming.
And there's a fight here with Skywarp between Blur and Bumblebee, and I only call attention to that because it's Michael Andrews' favorite, Wheels on Heels. You get a reprise of that, and I like that now that Blur is kind of in with these Autobots that you can get combination attacks, and I like the idea of Blur and Bumblebee working together. Yeah,
speaking of, I mean, not to call back too much to Cybfest, but the Heelys triggered it. Did you do any Heelying at the Cybfest this year?
No. Unfortunately, we were. It was a combination of being too busy and circumstances not aligned. Whirl left their Heelys at home. I left my Heelys.
Yeah, I was gonna say blessing in disguise.
They were in the trunk ready to go. But also Greg was too busy cosplaying as Sparkplug Witwicky, so I don't think he was gonna be able to change out of his stylish yellow worker boots into a pair of Heelys.
Oh yeah.
So I would say he had the helmet for it though, so that would have been helpful.
Right.
But it was interesting because when we recorded our last episode, I had been practicing, but I don't know if I just need to do some specific exercises in the off season or something like that. But I've noticed I don't have the strength in my ankle to hold my foot that far up. It just instinctively starts going back down. So I could go a little bit, but then my foot just kind of strumps back down.
Sure.
Have you messed with Heelys at all?
Not really.
They're incredibly dangerous. Avoid them at all times.
I think so. They scare me.
Goddamn death machines. Especially
the Achilles Heely, I think I'd call it.
There you go. Especially terrifying for someone of my size and age. It's a death sentence. But
from teasing.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
The ridicule he's worried about. So.
But yeah, no, I really wanted to give it a try this time. And it just, my ankle rockers don't have as much field of motion.
Yeah.
The articulation just isn't as good. It's
right.
pre-2009 figure or something.
Yeah, I was gonna say you're too much of a generation one to have the proper articulation.
It doesn't even have ankle tilts. But anyway, that is a level of articulation that this figure no longer has.
Beautiful.
So yeah, maybe I'll continue to practice and maybe I'll be able to do it for next season. But yeah, so I guess we would have to call it. Well, you can't call it the second annual Heely Derby because we didn't have one this year. So naming legislation are our favorite. So we'll have to come up with a snappy name if we choose to do it next year. So back at the space bridge, you've got this thing where Blur is now stuck with both Skywarp and Thundercracker, and they're both hurtling towards the maw. Oh, actually, I don't know. We'll pause there for a sec. How would you describe this aperture of the space bridge? Because it's not an open tunnel. So it's not like an open mouth or a portal. It just kind of seems to be like a orb, a sphere of some kind. So passing through the space bridge, you kind of enter this sphere and not necessarily through a portal, which I thought was kind of interesting aesthetically.
Well, first of all, I'll tell you that I call it a portal all through my notes. So I'm sorry about that slip up is going to happen.
All right.
But I kind of, it's almost like a spherical Stargate, really. If the Stargate, there's a lot of animation scenes where it reminds me of Stargate. But it is a sphere, like an orb that winks on and out. Yeah,
which is odd. But anyway, the that trio is hurtling towards entropy, and meanwhile, Bumblebee is beckoning to Bulkhead to shut down the reactor, and meanwhile, you have more fighting. You have what is it? It's like Slipstream v Bulkhead here, and they tussle, and this is again. This, I think, I did not realize that I had this much interest in Slipstream, but it's even all the way back to when we were doing a Fistful of Energon with Abby, I was just like, is Slipstream in this one? and now that she's here, she's made quite an impression very quickly. And like we've already kind of litigated, it's she's the smart one. She has Starscream's cunning, but it's just every time she's on screen, she's awesome.
Yeah, succeeding, right? Capable, getting shit done that the others can't seem to do.
Yeah, at a time where Starscream Prime is just sword fighting with Megatron, Slipstream is out there just cuffing fools.
Right. sword fighting with Megatron. Interesting penis analogy here.
Okay.
Maybe there is something to all this. I was gonna say not to go.
You're obviously in love. Obviously.
Yeah.
I mean, they are exes that made it everyone else's problem.
Yeah, right. This whole season finale is just like a domestic that spreads.
Yes.
Oh my God. Not to go full film major here, but sure. I did get a little. My brain kind of went into that mode a little bit when Slipstream and Bulkhead started their fight. I don't think they meant for this to happen, but I did have kind of a moment of like, because Tara Strong voices Slipstream, this was sort of like Bulkhead fighting Sorry a little bit. I mean, I'm sure it was just a situational, as probably a dichotomy of like, who's your biggest character and who's your like most delicate Decepticon. Let's do an opposites thing. But I did sort of have this moment of like, oh, this is kind of like, Bulkhead would never like do this to Sorry, but he's sort of like, wrestling with his demons here a little bit. She never believed in him or never believed he was that smart, or like, even when she was like doing PR for him, there was a moment of like, well, why do I need PR? I think Sorry's always kind of had this out for him. And so I don't know. I saw a little artistic moment here of like, he's getting to kind of battle Sorry a little bit.
That's interesting. There's some symbolism there that I really dig. Now, I made a kind of a to-do about this in our previous episode when we first meet Slipstream, but let me ask you, what do you think of the Tara Strong performance here? Well,
I'm with you. I knew that it was Tara Strong. I wrote down that it was Tara Strong. In my head, Cree Summer, like it really is there.
Yeah, it sounds like Tara Strong doing a Cree Summer impression.
Yeah. So in that respect, it's like, it's really different. Like, I feel like I know when Tara Strong's doing a voice. I didn't immediately like latch onto that here. There's a little bit of like dissonance there. So I guess in that case, it's a really good voice, right? Like it's really it's like when, Bill Fagerbach did the Master Disaster in Velocity.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, I didn't even know it was him.
Yeah. Yeah. See, and I agree with that. And that's the motion that carries the day, because like, I know I said I would have liked to have had somebody else, but that's only just for the sake of representation, just to have like somebody else. But I think the voice itself, what Tara Strong is doing with it is cool. It is a cool voice.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. But you're right. I do think it's like a Cree Summer impression. That is a little weird.
Which is fine, because I like that Black Arachnia performance quite a lot. And if like this evokes that, and see, now I'm kind of taking myself in a circle, because it's like not all bad guy female Transformers have to sound the same. And right. It's like, so I like it. I don't dislike it. I do wish it was different. Like that. I mean, I hope that I can have it both ways at the same time, because it does feel like it's a reach a little bit for Tara Strong, but it's just I would just, coming off of my conversation with Sue Blue, I would have loved to have seen another female voice actor get a role here.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I was going to say at least we're seeing another capable female Transformer. We'll get another female character. So that's
exactly. Yeah. I mean, like, I think based on this, and I don't know what happens from here, obviously, but like, I think I'm into Slipstream. I think she's a really cool character. So, but then again, then you get into like, is the contemporary version, is it any way related to this? I don't know. I just think that the idea of female seekers is just a really cool concept, and somebody had to be first.
Yeah.
Like I know they push that concept even further in Cyberverse, and not to bring my dumb G.I. Joe fandom into this, but like a lot of the troop builders I have for like Cobra Troopers are female. They did like the Valkyries 2-pack where it's like it's an officer and a trooper. And so like half of my Cobra troops are female, actually.
Awesome.
Because it's I really love what the G.I. Joe Classified series has done with like their troop builders, because like they have alternate heads with different skin colors also. Mm-hmm. So it's like when you put all of your troop builders out, and if you've got enough swappable parts, you have a pretty damn diverse crowd which is really, really cool. Try not to think about it too much when it's the bad guys that are ironically more diverse and inclusive than the good guys, but try not to think about that too much. But
yeah, I hate to say it, but I think your G.I. Joe-ness is starting to rub off on me a little bit. I found myself kind of doom scrolling through G.I. Joe action figures the other day, and I was like, no, what am I, Mike Seibert here? Like, get out of here.
It is a slippery slope. I remember 4 years ago, I'm like, maybe I'll just buy Snake Eyes. Yeah. Oh, there's another Snake Eyes. Oh no, I'll just do Snake Eyes. That's fine. It's like, yes, but what if we give you like a bundle deal on like these 3 figures that I'm like, well, I do like Storm Shadow. He is pretty cool and he could fight against Snake Eyes. And I'm like, damn it, now I got ninjas. It's like, you want ninjas? That's how you get ninjas.
Well, it's kind of a trifecta situation because there was you and you were talking about the Once a Man figure. And then at the same time I got really into Pixel Dan toy hunting. I don't know if you ever watched that. He's pretty into G.I. Joe and he had a couple pretty G.I. Joe heavy episodes. And then the third corner of this triangle was I was playing Transformers Earth Wars, the mobile game.
Yeah.
And my favorite character in that game is the Hound Vamp.
Yep.
I wish they'd make a figure of it, but it looks so cool. It seems like it'd fit. So I'm just like, oh God, do I like G.I. Joes?
Yeah.
Actually, you'd think it was pretty cool because the Hound Vamp in the game, every Transformer's got a little special ability you can activate. And his is that he's got a little G.I. Joe with him that fires like a gun from his top turret. So every time he's the only character in the game, every time you activate as a special ability, it goes, "Yo, Joe!" before letting it
that's
off.
pretty cool.
That's pretty cool.
That is pretty cool. And again, I know I've tempted you and enticed you with this before, but again, Eisenberg, showrunner on G.I. Joe Renegades, wrote a few episodes.
Yeah.
Out. I think it would be up your alley, but
part of me wants to watch it really bad, actually, and part of me is like, well, what if we save it for a weird inverse Two Mikes Too Furious where I haven't seen any of it, and
that could be fun. We'll have to leave that workshopping legislation for the off season.
Yes.
But with that, let us transition and get back into the show, as Michael Andrews likes to say. And all right, is everybody ready? Do you got your drinks in hand?
Yes.
Because we're going. Meanwhile, on Dinobot Island,
woo!
Yeah, we did it.
Glug glug glug.
Exactly. But no, I really like this transition shot that they do where you kind of like pull back from Decepticon Mine and you see the flashing of the battle taking place. Because keep in mind, Starscream and the clones blasted a hole in the top of the mine. So, but like when you see like all the flashing and stuff, and then it literally just like pans over to Dinobot Island, which is so cool. It was just a really neat shot. But basically, Ratchet is still working with Sorry to jumpstart the ship. They've got like all of the Allspark fragments in the chest and putting it into kind of like the spark chamber, I suppose. Meanwhile, while this is happening, Sorry is trying to use her key and it's not working. And it's interesting, even at this point where Sorry still hasn't quite figured out what the deal is. She just thinks Ratchet is crazy as he's talking to the ship here. It's like, I think she even says something like, well, why are you talking to the ship? It's not like it's going to talk back or anything.
Right. Which is, of course, a great transition to when it starts talking.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's a nice little moment. They're really they really play this out for like a long time, this like Ratchet and treating the ship like a patient. I can't say too much more as we get to season 3, but there's more to this. Definitely more to this. But yeah, anyway, so he's treating it like a patient. He's about to lose. He's getting more and more desperate. It is getting a little weird. He's getting some weird looks from Sorry. And the ship replies this great moment of like, Ratchet, is this you?
Yeah.
Like it. And then right when he says that too, I don't know if you noticed, but there's like that little like funeral dirge bell chimes in. But they've been using it kind of successfully throughout the show so far, and it just got me a little bit. It just got me in the throat chest area when it went off. That's really cool.
Ratchet, I really really don't think that's gonna...
Ratchet, is that you?
The animation studio for this episode was Mook. I think is how you pronounce it. Mook is the studio. Okay. And what I've noticed in Mook episodes is that's where you get some of the more expressive faces, where it's like it kind of, you get a little more silly putty kind of like anime kind of style faces, a little more contorted, and the warmth of the smile that comes over Ratchet. You know, he kind of does it in like a couple different phases, but like just the feeling that is conveyed when the ship starts talking back to Ratchet is pretty incredible.
Yeah, that's interesting that you bring that up. There definitely is a moment where it's a little their faces are a little less static, kind of more doughy, and I do like or organic. This is a really great tender moment here. Oh, he does a lot more than talk to Sari, and then when they say, I like this line that coming up from the, are we going to call it Omega Supreme? Just call it the ship. Let's just get it out there. Okay. All right.
Yeah. Cause I mean, we know, and everybody listening knows.
They've been screaming at their, speakers for 2 years now. We can say,
like, we know.
But before I get into the voice of Omega Supreme here, I just wanted to say this little tender moment where he says,
"There's Decepticons everywhere. I don't think I'm going to make it."
I love this line because it almost could be the situation that they're in right now. It takes you a minute to realize, like, oh, this is his last memory before he went offline.
Yeah.
But history repeats itself. I mean, the bookend of him waking back up in a situation is almost identical to the one that put him offline.
Yeah.
Really like tragic and interesting.
That is heart-wrenching stuff, and you're absolutely right. And and as you're alluding to, we're going to talk about the voice here, but like, in the delivery, it is just so haunting. And if I don't get a chance to call attention to it later, when he says he can't see, like, and Ratchet makes it a joke where, I mean, not a joke, but like, he's like, well, because you're stuck in the mountain, but like the innocence and terror to it there. It spoilers alert a little bit for Skybound, but like, this is kind of the stuff that they do with Jetfire. And like, basically Jetfire kind of serves as their jet. So Jetfire is there, but he can't transform and he can't see. So it's like there is this heart rate, it'll tear your heart right out of your chest, where it's like they go off and do a mission, and Jetfire is just kind of sitting there in the hangar being a jet, and he's like, well, I get so lonely, and Optimus again, I mean, fucking Skybound Optimus, like, I mean, he is swiftly moving up to the top of the top tier, but he sits down next to him, leans up against Jetfire in plane mode, and says, "I will sit here with you for a while." And it like, I mean, it just fucking like tears your guts out.
Yeah.
And so I had that in my mind as I was watching this, because a lot of the way that Omega behaves here reminds me a lot of how they're treating Skybound Jetfire.
Yeah. Oh, you just cemented it. I have to read that series. I'm going to prioritize that now. That sounds amazing.
It's good stuff. And I was lukewarm on it at first, but like, and really what it took was Soundwave spoilers becoming leader of the Decepticons to really hook me. And everybody said, Mike, did you see this? And there's more to it too that's less spoilery, but there's some stuff that's incredibly satisfying for Soundwave fans. I'll just put it. Wow. It's like that dude gets some big moments, and it's very, very cool.
Awesome. All right, I'm in. But anyway, back to the show.
Yes.
Voices. We have to talk about this voice. Kevin Michael Richardson is the voice of Omega Supreme here. We're not bringing in anyone from the cast. We got a brand new voice for this. And what a career it's been. What a voice this guy has.
Yeah.
There's too many roles to talk about, like, entirely, and it's dense. The projects that he's worked on. Like, he's got a massive IMDb page, and you can scroll and scroll and scroll, and you're still like in the same year, right? Like, he's doing like, this goes back to what you were saying, that quote from Sue Blue about working and always working.
Yeah.
this is this guy, right? So it goes all the way back to 1992. But a couple I wanted to mention. Do you have some voices picked out, Mike? I'm curious if you saw any favorites on the list. Otherwise, I got a few to go through.
Well, one I was gonna point out for you since we were on the topic. He's Roadblock in G.I. Joe Renegades.
Yeah,
and it's a fun performance that is so far removed from this. And again, that's kind of the gimmick with the G.I. Joe Renegades cast is they kind of young it up a little bit.
Oh yeah,
and so he's kind of like a younger Roadblock, and it's pretty cool. It's a very cool type of thing. But yeah, that was really only kind of the thing I wanted to point out for sure. But like, I mean, again, like you said, what Sue Blue said, people who work a lot because they work a lot, that kind of thing. And
that is the situation. Right. So to go down my list, top to bottom, there's a couple. I was just going to pick out one or two. I found a few. Stump Smash and Skylanders. I don't know if anyone cares about that reference, the video game, but Stump Smash is one of my favorites.
Drop the hammer.
This one jumped out at me because he did a voice in Strange Magic. And Strange Magic is like, I haven't seen it, but I'm like obsessed with it because it's from the mind of George Lucas. It was like one of the last like George Lucas things. I don't know exactly what he had, like his level of involvement with it, but the tagline for the movie is from the mind of George Lucas.
Like,
interesting. Been pretty, and for a long time, it was caught in that like weird bubble of distribution where like we didn't really know who owned it, and Disney didn't have it, and Fox didn't quite have it, and now I think it's available on Disney Plus. But it was just kind of an interesting like, how are we ever going to see this one day?
Yeah.
He also voiced Static Shock's father.
Everywhere you look, there's another Bang Baby, setting fires, wrecking buildings, scaring everybody, and no one's doing anything about it.
I don't know if you're familiar with Static Shock, but one of the great cartoon superhero shows, in my opinion. Captain Gantu in Lilo and Stitch.
There's only room for two on the two-man shuttle, me and Dr. Hamsterfield. I'm breaking him out of prison.
What?
This is my last chance to redeem myself. If I succeed, my future is secured.
Probably has to be one of my all-time favorite Disney movies. Very memorable voice in that. And then getting a little more Transformers specific here towards the end, he was the second Prime in Revenge of the Fallen when they had like all the Primes talking to him.
Oh, sure.
He voiced one of the Primes. And he was also Skipjack in that movie, which I believe is the obnoxious little jackhammering one.
Jackhammer guy, yeah.
Here's the biggest one of all time. He went on to become Bulkhead in Transformers Prime.
Hey, Fleshy, did anyone get splattered on that freeway? Team Prime knows when to use force and how much to use.
Right.
You don't get bigger than that. I mean, and as far as coming out of this show.
Absolutely.
Pretty wild.
Yeah.
I just think that's cool. Like you start by voicing Omega Supreme and animated, and then when they take Bulkhead out of this show, he gets the gig. And it really fits. I mean, that to me is Bulkhead. That has become my Bulkhead. I don't know if I have that same relationship with like which Ratchet is your Ratchet, but
right.
Transformers Prime Bulkhead, I have to say, is my Bulkhead.
Yeah, it's interesting the shadow that Transformers Prime casts over a lot of things, to the point where, I mean, again, like I talked about with my conversation at Sci-Fest with Ratchet, in that, like, I think like I'm glad that more people are finding it now, but it seems like in the shadow of TFA kind of gets forgotten about a little bit.
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting. Like, like you said, it's like, that's my Bulkhead, that's my Ratchet. And it's like, meanwhile, I'm too busy living my truth where we're at. And I'm just like, but these though, it's like,
I know.
It's like, this is foundational, man.
I will say this. Yeah. To that point, in this project, in rewatching this show, I'm realizing how many things were borrowed from this, like for the live action movies, for the comics, for shows moving forward. And they don't ever really mention it. This one just kind of got swept under. But yeah, this is where a lot of these storylines started.
Yeah.
It's wild.
Absolutely. So after a bit of legislation and some key magic, there must have been some magic in that old key that they found, because when they placed it in the keyhole, Omega began to dance around. That doesn't really work, but
right. It's not a perfect metaphor, but
no. But either way, they do eventually kind of get the engines fired up, and eventually they are able to take off and go underway. Meanwhile, it's back at the mine. It's everybody v the Starscreams. Like you almost get kind of like this X-Men Origins Wolverine thing where you have both Optimus and Megatron kind of fighting off incoming fire like back to back and stuff. It's a very small, it's a very short bit of animation, but like that one really kind of caught my eye where they're both deflecting blaster fire at the same time. You know, Megatron with his sword and Optimus with his axe. Meanwhile, Starscream, Prime, and Slipstream are the ones that are just laying down fire. And to your point earlier, Michael Anders, I think this is the biggest, one of the bigger tip-offs of what aspect Slipstream actually is, because Starscream is just talking crazy talk, and Slipstream's like, dude, they're right here.
What are you doing? Aim for his spot chamber! Aim for his spot chamber! Don't tell me how to slide Megatron!
Yeah, this is such a cool moment. I mean, just quickly back to that Optimus and Megatron back to back kind of fighting things off. This seems like such a, maybe it's just now top of mind because of the Transformers 1 stuff, but one thing this show doesn't have or hasn't coded yet is like this history between Megatron and Optimus. But I feel like it's hinting at it with this scene. Like there's almost like this. Earlier, Megatron says something to the effect of like, I didn't think you'd be the one to show up to help me. And he's like, I wasn't doing it to help you, kind of a thing. Yeah. There was almost like this old brothers thing. But this show, I have to keep reminding myself, this show doesn't have that. This isn't a show where Optimus and Megatron were like buddies before this thing.
Yeah.
But I think that they're winking at us a little bit with this.
Yeah, I think it has it both ways, because I think what they're trying to do here is trying to invert that trope. Like, it's not only were they not friends, not only do they not have a relationship, not only are they not integral to each other's origins or whatever, but it's a real, like, I don't know who you are. Like, right. Like there's a insignificance of Optimus Prime to Megatron. Like he's just another Autobot. Like there's nothing there, just nothing there.
Yeah, and then I think if you're talking about Optimus Prime as a history buff, this is sort of like, this is just this demagogue, right? Or like this is this tyrant. So that's where like there must be a lot of hatred for him from Optimus.
Yeah, he's almost like a mythical creature, he's like like the Centaur or the Cyclops or something like that. Just like something like pulled from the pages of myth, made real.
Right. Yeah, now I'm wondering too, because like what an interesting moment, because I'm sure he's studied Megatron, or like, it's just I can't imagine what it's like being in his presence or fighting him, like having to set aside that sort of I've studied you for years kind of a thing. I don't know, really interesting. Yeah, well, and to continue with that, really kind of like Optimus Prime's first, not interaction, but like the first time he sees Megatron is at the end of Megatron Rising, where he pops out of Sumdac Tower. And again, I will never forget that imagery of just the glistening anime eyes, where he's just like, oh shit, we are fucked. Right. That kind of thing. So it's interesting to go from that to where he's had some minor tussles with Megatron, but it's always been minor. Like I'm trying to remember, because like back in the first episode in Transform and Roll Out, Optimus is kind of in on that tussle a bit with Megatron when he's, coming after the Allspark and whatever, but he's not really integral to that fight. Not really. Yeah. Like it's more like Prowl chopping off his hand and stuff like that. It's like, I think like the other characters kind of get in better licks than Optimus does. Right. Well, yeah, I think the point that we're both tap dancing around here is that this isn't a hero and villain that keep crossing paths like in most shows. Yeah. This is just, very rarely they're thrown together, but either way, it's equaling out to be this cool scene here. They're both like swinging swords and axes are swinging. They're deflecting null ray blasts like lightsabers. Like it's, it's just really cool. Like, and there is a hint at sort of the brotherhood kind of thing, but without actually having it there in the story.
and then through that, what is it like? Megatron is like, calling to the Constructicons. He's like, hey man, I kind of need some help here.
Yeah, well, and he's doing it. He's at this point, he's gesturing with like a dead Optimus at this point. Like he just got done using Optimus as a shield, by the way, just picks him up and absorbs a blast. And then he's just sort of, I don't know, like gesturing around with his like unconscious body.
It's just swinging
whipping it around. Yeah.
Not unlike Starscream with Bumblebee. In Megatron Rising also, where it's just like this giant menacing bot with this impossibly small boy.
Yeah, right.
Throwing him around like he's nothing.
Yeah, I don't know where they came, where the point of reference. It's like gesturing with a drink or something at a cocktail party. He's just like, you go over there and you get this.
Yeah, it's pretty dynamic. So you get, so Mixmaster is currently tussling with Bumblebee and Prowl, and it seems like Mix kind of only has one signature move here, is just kind of like his cement shooters.
Yeah, just dropping globs on everybody.
Yeah. Just flinging globs everywhere, and we'll leave it there.
Yes.
At a point where he wants to focus his efforts on the head Starscream. LOL. That's how the TF Wiki writes it. That's not me. I'd have called him Starscream Prime, but I see what they did there.
I wrote down Starscream Prime too in this, but it switches at this moment to head Starscream, obviously because this is a trigger for Sumdac, right? Like in his head, it's head Starscream, head Starscream,
yeah.
Head Starscream.
Lisa,
my God, they could be anywhere.
It's like head Starscream. Lisa needs braces.
Yeah,
head Starscream. Oh, but that's amazing. He's just like, I got an idea.
Right.
And
would have been a really funny joke if it had nothing to do with that. I also like that bit, but
yeah. But it is interesting though, and I think I talked about this in The Return of Headmaster, where you take like a line that is pretty dumb and pretty annoying, but like when you recontextualize it, it actually ends up being kind of a crowd pleaser. So it's like in that previous episode when like Headmaster says over his shoulder like menacing, and he's like, total ownage never gets old, that kind of thing. It has like a tinge of menace to it. And likewise here, when Isaac Sumdac comes out as the pilot of the Headmaster unit and takes out Prime Starscream, and when Isaac Sumdac proclaims it's almost like Captain America picking up the hammer. It really is kind of like that same type of thing, because I just thought it was so cool. I love when Isaac Sumdac gets to co-opt Headmaster's gamer speak, and like it's pretty satisfying.
Well, it's righteous in a way, right? Because this is like that guy that he fired that like started the eventual downfall of his company. Like now you see him teamed up with Powell. Like there's something pretty righteous. If Sumdac's ever going to get a moment, like a hero moment in this, it's this, and it is done pretty well. I want to rock it back a couple seconds before that moment, because there's a pretty cool scene that happens with Sunstorm and Ramjet holding down Megatron. And this is where Starscream takes up Megatron's sword, and we see his face reflecting in the blade, before the Headmaster unit steps in. This is like sword to the neck. I'm going to do something about this. But I wanted to bring it up because I want this to affect your G1 score, Mike, because like what a major missed opportunity and I would have waited an eternity for this.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
Right. Like he says something else and I was like, why didn't you do the eternity one? This is it.
Right. It's like, it's right there. You have your chance.
Yeah. Instead, he's like, I would have waited a long time for it. Like, it's just like this slightly off. I would have sat patiently for an extended amount of time units. God damn it. Just say the line.
Yeah. Just say the thing. But yeah, you're right. And it is pretty cool here. The imagery where you've got some of the more colorful clones. You've got both Sunstorm and Ramjet, and when Starscream picks up the blade, it's like Slipstream kind of like slides into frame, like again, almost like a power behind the throne type of thing, like a real Lady Macbeth situation.
Right.
Like, Slipstream is like the devil on Starscream's shoulder.
Do it.
And exactly, give it. And it's very much that same type of energy. And like, I love that you get like this, this kind of like hero shot of like the Allspark fragment is just gleaming out of Starscream's forehead there. It is some really cool imagery. These are some awesome moments here.
Yeah, and so Starscream has this moment where he tells Megatron that he'll tell everybody else that he died valiantly, just before naming him successor to the Decepticons, of course.
Yes.
If we're not APDC, but if we're ranking the scheme here, at this point, Starscream's is pretty good, right? Because it's coming together nicely. He has the only people in the room are the amnesiacs, right? Blitzwing and Lugnut that would really come to Megatron's aid are waylaid elsewhere.
Yep. So
you just have these two like B-listers. All the Autobots are mostly out cold.
Yep.
Starscream, like everything's come together so nice, and now he's holding Megatron's sword to his neck while his army of clones pins him down. This has to just feel righteous for him. Like he finally gets it. But yeah, of course, as we were alluding to, it's interrupted by total ownage noob. Like Headmaster unit.
It's so good. I love that line delivery. And then that gives, Megatron the opportunity to regain the upper hand. And, we had talked previously about one of the more chilling aspects of the Headmaster unit is that it just has that one static expression.
Yeah, Zoolander, the one look.
Yeah. But like when Megatron goes to take a shot and ends up blasting the head off, you could see that it reacts. It screams.
Oh.
And it's weird, which is even more unsettling. It's like, wait a sec, so you're telling me it could emote the whole time?
Oh yeah, that's really weird.
Or maybe it's a Roger Rabbit thing where it's like, not the whole time, only when it was funny.
Right. Yeah.
That kind of thing.
Yeah. Either way, this moment is really interesting to me because there's a little bit where Bumblebee takes this as more assurance that Sumdac is working for the Decepticons.
Yes.
I didn't even know I needed this, but this moment of like, he instantly is like, oh, Sumdac's in the head unit? Bad guy.
I told you he was working for the Decepticons. He just saved Megatron's skid plate.
Yeah. Which, again, he has a documented history of jumping to conclusions.
Right, right.
It's like, oh, yeah, that guy Wasp, he was in a warehouse by himself one time. He has to be the spy. He has to be the traitor.
Oh, yeah, and Blur has to be a Decepticon. We saw that like just earlier in this finale here.
Yeah, Bumblebee has a really weird set of prejudices, doesn't he?
He does. It's
kind of uncomfortable. So now you have Starscream he's gone full Jango Fett at this time. At this point, he's gotten both heads knocked off. And a interesting thing that I run into as a first time viewer, because again, I don't know where things happen. I don't know where characters end up, but I keep worrying for the fragility of the Allspark fragment in Starscream's forehead. Because as soon as this is a chapter I would later call vision legislation, but like I'm imagining that all it takes is a stiff breeze to knock that thing out of place, and then Starscream is dead for real. Right? He is a reanimated. He's kind of undead actually. His spark chamber is empty. So
that's right. That's what's keeping him alive.
That's the only thing keeping him alive. So when his decapitated body falls on top of his head, it's a cool visual gag. And I love like all the sparks and stuff coming out of his neck and stuff. Kind of grisly and gruesome when you think about it too hard. But like, I thought like, well, this is it. Like the head is going to get smushed, or like it's going to knock out the fragment or something. I really thought that this could kind of be curtains for Starscream here. And in a way, it kind of is, just not the way I was predicting, because now the clones have turned against him. It's like he cannot lead himself. It reminds me of that thing I've said before. I've commingled these two lines, both from More Than Meets the Eye. I think it's part 2. But like Starscream is always nipping at Megatron's heels to like act. You know, it's time for action, not words. And Megatron is always flipping it back on him, and it's like, not quite, you couldn't lead a parade, but he says, you know, my personal favorite,
power flows to the one who knows how. Desire alone is not enough.
But there's a separate exchange later where he says, you couldn't lead ant droids to a picnic. What makes you think you could lead the Decepticons? And for some reason, that line really stuck with me here, because Starscream can't even lead himself. It's like, because at the end of the day, these are all Starscreams, regardless of like the names we've given them. They are all aspects of Starscream. So imagine the psychology behind that. Like, let's say you had like an army of Michael Andrews and they don't listen to you, like they defy you, that kind of thing. Like, you know, we think about like, you know, our own identity and like, you know, what would it be like if I had clones of myself? And really the reality is that you would probably be faced with the worst aspects of yourself and would be really kind of horrified. At least me personally, I've got to stop saying you. I'm going to say no. I instead. But that is my fear. Is like, if I had to deal with myself, I would be confronted with how insufferable I actually am. Because like it wouldn't be like a multiplicity situation where you would be able to just like divide the work, because you're the same guy. So it's like, I would say, like, if I had like 5 of me, man, it would make my podcast editing so much easier. But no, because you can't parse out the same work, and all 5 of us would have the same mentality. And like, it would take a lot of legislation to be like, no, you do this. And there would be a little bit of like, you know, like I think eventually I would get with the program, but certainly not immediately. Like it would be a real challenge to deal with myself, kind of as we're seeing here with the Starscreams, where they're just like, dude, we're going to throw in with Megatron. Screw you.
Right. Well, I'll take your metaphor one layer deeper, even, because not only can he not control himself in the forms of these clones, he can't even control his own body now, right? Like I think this is right in the writer's head. He's bodiless at this point. He can't control anything. And I think that's why this next scene happens, because Megatron just like shrugs everybody off and pins Starscream's head under his own body. Like, is there more of a metaphor for you're incapable than I'm using your own body to like bury your head, basically?
Yeah.
And they're done with him. The clones are done with him. And Ramjet, you know, the liar, in his signature moment puts it best. He says, I will remain loyal to you forever, as he kicks Starscream.
You know, and you had mentioned earlier where there was a missed opportunity with the I would have waited an eternity for this. I think there was a moment that they didn't miss here, and I feel this is very intentional, and this definitely goes, I gave it like 2 ticks on my G1 score, where Ramjet kicks Starscream. It's very much, I mean, it's inverted frame wise, composition wise, but it's very much like, you know, oh, mighty Megatron, how do you feel? And he's just in Transformers the movie, and he's like, it just he's down.
Oh, you're so right.
And it's almost like the same cadence where he's just like, because it's not like a hard kick. It's just like, just like, just literally just kicking him where he's down.
All right, it cancels out then. Let's say we took away 2 points for the missed opportunity and give 2 points back. With zeros out.
Yeah, there you go. It's a 0-0 draw. Good game. But yeah, that was one of those ones, because I mean, again, I live for these dumb small moments. Like that one, I actually got out of my seat for. I'm like, oh, he did the thing. It's like, well, no, he just kicked him. I'm just interpreting it that way. But I'm like, I don't care. I'm watching it on the day of Transformers the movie, so it's like I'm doubly in that headspace.
You know, I think that I think you're absolutely right. I mean, there's something in that moment. There's something that kind of pricked my memory a little bit, but I wasn't able to put my finger on it. But no, yeah, absolutely, you're right. I was going to say too, this moment should be a big red flag to Megatron. Like, how damaged is he? I mean, I'm sure he's doing this, taking on the clones as sort of an opportunistic thing, but it's also like the lying one just said he'd be loyal forever. What are you bringing in all these Starscreams for? Like, this is a bad move.
Yeah, why do you want more Starscreams? How many times have you killed this guy and want nothing more? Did you forget about how you stood in front of the moon contemplatively and then just murdered this guy again and again and again?
I do. Along with that, I think this was a great thing for Megatron to be confronted with. This is that sort of great writing thing where it's what's worse than one Starscream? 5, 6 Starscreams, right? You just see them all. And can you just imagine him in his moment of triumph, about to activate the space bridge, about to see all his plans come to fruition, and 7 fucking Starscreams blow your roof off? Good Lord.
Yeah, that's, oh my gosh. That's, I thought of something. I really lit up when we were talking about the multiple Starscreams and why he would want Starscreams around. Now he's got 5 of them to kill at his leisure. He's like, I could just literally smoke each one of you guys in my own time.
Yeah, you're right. Maybe he's like, I'm going to enjoy this. He's already thinking that far ahead. So this battle's over. What am I going to do for fun?
Yeah, I'm just going to start murdering Starscreams again. It's like, oh, this one looks different. I don't care.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
He's painting them to look more like the original.
Yeah. No. So he's still got Bulkhead under his thrall, and he's just making Bulkhead paint them in Starscream Prime colors.
Yeah. No, this red's not right.
Yeah. It's why does this one look G1?
Right.
Oh,
darker.
Yeah, darker, now lighter. It's this one could use a caption.
Awesome.
Oh my gosh. But yeah, what a terrific sequence that was. And now, I mean, so basically things are real bad for the Autobots. Everybody is in some kind of captivity. And then is this where Prowl starts utilizing some of his latent ninja training? Right.
Well, kind of the scene you were alluding to earlier is we get in between that is where the ship busts out of the side of the mountain.
Oh, yeah. And that was the I can't see Ratchet.
I can't see, right, because he's embedded in the mountain and he bursts out. So that was kind of there's a big music swell there when the ship breaks free of the cliff. I thought that was really cool scene.
It's such a cool sequence. And Sorry believes at this point. Oh, they're doing that's right. They're doing this whole thing where they have to restore Omega's memory circuits in sequence. And and it's something to the effect of as they're bantering with Omega, it's well,
we can't restore everything yet, but we're gonna boot you up just enough to make you operational.
And even with the and so really when you get the I can't see line,
I'm afraid, Ratchet, I can't see.
I thought it was something maybe they Sorry hadn't actually literally restored his optics.
Oh, sure.
I didn't think of it as literally as he was just stuck in the mountain. I thought it was just well, we haven't turned your eyes on yet. We need to turn on just enough to get out of here.
You have hibernation sickness. Your eyesight will return in time.
To say nothing about the morning breath, even after however many mornings. Gross. Nasty. Han Solo very damp when he comes out of hibernation.
Oh, very wet.
Ugh. Gross. Oh yeah, and Layla just goes in for smooches. It's no thanks.
Right.
No thanks.
I want to see a scene where later Leia sees someone else come out of the carbon and they're not wet at all, and she's just oh.
It's did you pee in there? What?
Yeah. What is all that?
Pee yourself in the carbonite? Nasty.
I'm sweaty, I'm a kid.
But this sequence is kind of great too, because it emphasizes how debilitated Omega is. And he's nowhere near tip-top shape, and there's gaps in his memory, but it's kind of juxtaposed with the sweetness and tenderness of Sari is now fully on board. She gets it now. And like, even Ratchet is like, she's helping obviously with her key, but like, Ratchet is like, lifting her up so she can get to the control panels easier. So you love seeing that team up there. And like I was talking about previously, I love that Sari Sumdak has had these different interactions with each of the Autobots, and each one brings something different to her upbringing. And the thing with Ratchet is like he brings a grumpy demeanor and certainly a bristliness to him, but God damn it, he's the most compassionate of them all. Like he just like, and it just comes through. And again, the vocal here, like he's just like when he goes low and quiet, it's really something else. It's a terrific performance.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they are off to the races. They are free of the mountain, and we somehow get to leave Dinobot Island without checking in with the Dinobots. Boo.
Yeah, boo, boo, boo. Right, now this gets back to the scene you were alluding to where, Prowl starts humming in the cave, I guess, quote unquote humming.
Yes.
And I love that it just instantly sets off Bumblebee. Just fucking knock it off. God damn it, there's no time for humming.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's like, well, has it been 6 stellar cycles? Did Prowl make good on that sweet axle grease bet? It's like he is the last one to talk about somebody, maybe he's just trying to contemplate his own existence, but
right. But really what he's trying to do here is this processor over matter. And Mike, I really had to ask you, is this the first time you've heard processor over matter? Is this the first time we've heard it? I'll say this phrase has a lot of like meaning for me. I've always been sort of like obsessed with it. It kind of got me through some tough times. It was a little bit of a chant when I was back in the day when having tough time at work. But because of that, I don't know if this is the first time we're hearing it or if it's just, genetic memory to me at this point.
For me, at least, this is literally the first time I've heard it. I've never heard that phrasing before. And really, I don't have any connection to it to ascertain that meaning. So I guess Michael Andrews, tell me more. Like, is this something that's more ingrained in like other versions of the lore? It's like, is this like a trope that like you've encountered a number of times? I guess in a sense, I'm kind of surprised and curious that because I just thought it was a funny line. It's just like, using that kind of same TFA, using like computer automotive jargon to, lend me a servo, that type of thing. So I didn't really take it any more spiritually than when I first encountered it, but it sounds like there's a deeper meaning and different connection. Would you like to elaborate a little more on that?
Well, I can a little bit. I can only tell you so much because it's a season 3 spoiler. So I will stop it there. But I can say, like, for me, catchphrases like mind over matter and stuff like that never really resonate with me. The more stereotypical it is or the more cliche it is, I just don't latch on to it. But when you put a Transformer spin on it, right? When I heard processor over matter for the first time, like that kind of became, I was working at a really like tough, stressful job at the time, and that kind of like got me through it. I just, because I didn't feel like a cop out by muttering mind over matter, but like processor over matter was like a cool Transformer slant on it I could do. So that kind of became like a big catchphrase for me for a while. I think it's still on, in that now defunct part of Facebook profile pages where you could put like your favorite quotes. I'm pretty sure if you go dig down into that on mine, that was one of them.
Interesting. That's very cool.
Indeed. But we'll get more into that in the season 3, I guess. Spoiler alerts. It plays an important part, so I don't want to get further than that.
Copy that.
But yeah, so back at the lair, this humming is going on. Bulkhead has this moment where he's like, can you really do that kind of a thing to Prowl, thinking he can do it. This sort of felt like I couldn't quite put my finger on what in the 86 movie it reminded me of. But isn't there a moment where like Cup says something like, or I don't know if it was Cup, but like Hot Rod says something like, I don't know, I just got a feeling kind of a thing.
Oh, yeah. So I was thinking of something else while you were asking that, but I think what you're thinking of is after the Battle of Autobot City, Optimus Prime is dead. Ultra Magnus has the Matrix, and you get this plea from the moon bases. And it's like, Jazz is like, oh shit, this ginormous weird looking planet, blah, blah, blah. And then so, oh my God, Jazz, Cliff Jumper, are you guys okay? Static. And then it's like the Unicron is still hungry and goes after Moonbase 2 with with Bumblebee and Spike, and Daniel is just like, oh my God, my fucking dad, what's gonna happen? And so it's one of those things where Ultra Magnus, in a pretty good move of leadership, I think, as he's trying to assert himself, he's like, let's get the shuttles ready. Let's get out of here. We need to get to Cybertron and figure out how we're going to stop this thing. And Springer, ever the Han Solo skeptic, he's like, oh, well, hokey religions and, ancient weapons and all this other stuff. And Magnus just kind of says, kind of with a shrug, he's like, maybe the Matrix could stop it. And Hot Rod, he's like, he's like, you're right, it can. And just earnestly, he's like, he's just like, I just got this feeling. And because like Cup is like, the fuck are you talking about, kid?
Right. What do you know about it, lad? Or something like that.
Like, first of all, I touched the fucking thing. So, the Matrix imprinted on me. Thank you very much, fucking codger. But go to bed, old man. Matlock is on soon. but he's like, no, I just got this feeling. And then Galvatron and the Decepticons show up and they flee. And then the rest of the movie happens. But
that's exactly the moment I'm thinking of too. There was something so earnest about Bulkhead being like, can you really do that? Like I don't know, this little exchange between Bulkhead and Prowl and Bumblebee reminded me of sort of that Springer being the skeptic. Ultra Magnus, kind of hopeful, and then Bumblebee just thinking something, Hot Rod just thinking something can happen. It just reminded me of all that. This trio here having this moment reminded me of that moment. Well, I'm glad you helped me think of that. Thanks for talking through that with me.
Of course.
So meanwhile, back to Megatron's plan. It's right back on track, right? Like he's ready to take over the Space Bridge network and use it to deliver troops instantly to Cybertron. This is again something that was stolen by Dark of the Moon. This exact plot point, so I like to see that. But if this moment couldn't get any more luscious, we've had lots of like luscious payoffs already.
Oh my gosh.
Like they just keep layering. And now we get another one
together.
Yeah. Because now Bulkhead has said he had plenty of time to learn about space bridge engineering back on the farm. Right. And that the bridge is useless without receiving a code from the destination. Which is what happened to Blur, right? Like you need to have that kind of receiving end. We didn't really talk about that too much. Like, like Blur got teleported into the ether along with the other two clones. Like, they could just be anywhere in the galaxy. That's pretty wild.
Right. They're gone.
Yeah. But B, I love this moment because B reminds him,
don't you remember anything? The transmission I picked up? Wasp? The Decepticon spy I caught back in boot camp?
This culmination of this was something that I didn't know that we needed, but like Bumblebee realizing that, Long Arm is the spy, right? And Long Arm is Shockwave. Like this whole like comeuppance here is just like righteous.
Yeah.
And not in a good way, maybe necessarily, but like the shock on B's face.
How do you know my name?
Surely you recognize your old pal, Long Arm.
The you sent an innocent bot to the stockade is and Bulkhead's the one to say it, right? Like as if Bumblebee needs it said. Like Bulkhead's like,
you sent an innocent bot to the stockade.
You sent an innocent, like he's horrified by what his friend did now.
Yeah, and
intense moment.
It's incredibly intense, and I love a good parlor scene. And my dude Megatron delivers them like no other. And I just love that he's just out with his dick out, just like, this is what I'm going to do. Oh, and by the way, we spent like an hour litigating, counterintelligence and espionage. Oh, by the way, here's my spy. Here he is. We don't even bother to do the long arm conversion. He's just Shockwave, just there out. He's just out as Shockwave. And he even does. Shockwave even does this thing where he like does the voice. Or maybe you might even remember me as your friend Longarm.
Yeah.
Fuck you. It's so good. It's like both of them, like they rehearse this. He's like, and then I'm going to have the twerpy yellow one stuck against the wall here. And then you're going to come out, just fucking middle fingers out, just rub it in his face.
Yeah, don't come out. Keep your face hidden just a little bit longer. This is going to be so good. He doesn't know it's you.
My Lord Megatron, the microphone only goes so far. It's very lonely over here, Lord Megatron. Please invite me to the Zoom call. I'm in the waiting room. Please add me to the stage, please, Lord Megatron.
But it's moments like these that I think it's so good that we have this very like theatrical, dramatic Megatron, because probably he could have just activated the space bridge, done the thing, finished his plot, but it was like, oh no, this is too righteous of a moment to pass up. I have to see how this plays out. Pauses everything for this big reveal. I just love it.
Yeah, it's so good. I mean, again, he is just he is such a drama queen, and he is here for the tea and for the drama at every time. It's like, I would imagine that like if the Megatron Choose Your Own Adventure book is like where it's like, you could just do the plan. Well, no, that was not theatrical enough for my liking.
Yeah, he's like that Bill Hader SNL meme where he's like eating the popcorn at someone's misery, just like, oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God, this sequence is so great, and again, I love what and it ends up being just kind of Corey Burton talking to himself. Where
right.
It's like it's Megatron and Shockwave. But you also get in here, I talked about kind of like the fragile nature of Starscream's head and the Allspark fragment that's powering him and keeping him alive. There's this legislation here where not only do they need the receiving code, but I think it's something like they need more juice or something. Like they don't have enough power. But like prior to that, there's this spot where like Starscream is mouthing off, and you just get another glob of Mixed Master goo just right in his face. And it's especially graphic too, because it seems like he swallows some of it.
No.
Like it like indents into his mouth. It's it is pretty gruesome and graphic, but in a real transport to oblivion situation, they need to test the space bridge to see if it works. This is before they realize they need more juice. I got that mixed up. So of course he's Megatron takes Optimus Prime, who is powerless to resist, and he's just about to huck this dude through, and cue the Avengers Endgame theme. It's very much on your left, because here comes Teletran 1 to and Omega Supreme and Ratchet and Sorry to save the day.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Such an amazing thing that flies in here. Like this is just this is what you want in a finale, right?
Yeah.
The Autobot shuttle comes in raining from on high. The clones are trying to like take out the shuttle. Ratchet's pep talking his pal and initiating this defense mode. This is the codenamed Omega defense.
Yeah. Right.
Like if it wasn't clear yet, it's Omega Supreme, you guys. But yeah, Ratchet and Sorry kind of
fucking spoilers, dude. After listening to me for a year, being like, yes, I know the secret of the Autobot shuttle. Thank you.
Right.
Thank you. I get it.
Ratchet and Sorry team up to kind of loosen the ship's joints, quote unquote. I don't know. It transforming is a big deal. Like this is like a really cool moment. Even if you knew it was coming, even if you knew it was a robot at this point, it's like, holy shit, it transforms. And then the actual transformation of it, gorgeous.
Really cool. Yeah, very, very cool animation here. Pretty terrific. Good use of speed lines. And it also, not to jump over this, but it shows the tactical lethalness of the Starscreams, where they're just swarming like locusts, like angry bees, like wasps, if you will.
Right.
Just really, really taking it to Omega here. And but so you get this transformation sequence, and it is so cool. It is so satisfying, but really what it is kind of more it's kind of a distraction, because like Omega's whole thing is to just draw the Starscreams away from the mine, which they do. He does. He's very effective at that.
Oh, they hate that ship. Like, it's really like Last Jedi, Millennium Falcon.
It really is. I'll allow it, because it is a pretty cool moment.
Yeah.
But like this is the part where, like, I mean, I think here is where he reveals himself, and he says like, I am Omega Supreme, or something like that. And, we talked a lot about the voice performance by Kevin Michael Richardson here, but like the thing that's neat about this performance that I especially like is that it evokes the G1 aspect of Omega Supreme, but without the cadence. Like, you could tell because of like his spotty memory that, he doesn't speak in like full complete thoughts and sentences. Like there, it does feel like there's a fracturing here, but it's different than like, situation dire, that kind of thing. It's not as
something : something is pretty much that whole syntax.
Yes. But so this has a little more life to it. But again, but it still, with that deep rumbling bass, evokes the sense of power that is Omega Supreme. And I think that conveys that very well. And we talked about it a lot already, but like this design is really, really cool. I love that they're doing something different than just like the weird claw hand and the weird cannon hand. It seems like it makes more sense here. It's a little less asymmetrical, which I kind of like. But yeah, it's a really cool design. But like, the Decepticons are incensed, as you said. They hate that ship, and I wonder because like Lugnut in particular is particularly animated. Pun aside, I wonder if Blitzwing and Lugnut have memories of run-ins with Omega Supreme during the war, like way back. Yeah. Like, were they in on some of that? And now it's like, oh shit, he's back. That kind of thing. I didn't think of that.
Interesting.
It also makes me wonder with the Starscreams, what is the shared memory situation? Like, if it stands to reason that Lugnut and Blitzwing were part of that, Starscream probably was as well. But like, do the clones share Starscream's memories? ?
Oh, yeah. I wonder, maybe like there's some animosity there, possibly just on their own, just genetic memory.
Because they are particularly vicious when they attack the shuttle.
Right. It doesn't take much arm twisting for them to go after it.
No.
From a group that, we know doesn't really respond well to orders.
But it's my gal Slipstream with the bright idea here.
Everyone, aim for the legs!
Slipstream should just lead the Decepticons. I'm sorry.
Truly.
Because she's just like, shoot the legs. And it's very much Hans Gruber and Die Hard. It's like, shoot the glass.
Yeah.
Shoot the glass.
Right.
Like just shoot him in the legs.
Yeah.
But it's
also very Star Warsy here, right? The harpoon tow cables.
Oh, sure.
Legs of the AT-AT here.
Absolutely. Now is it here where with like some key shenanigans and Ratchet kind of like throwing some switches that we get like kind of like a Omega Supreme like battle mode here? Like
because there's like I had to rewind this a couple times, but he does something with like his magnet hands. Like it like interfaces with the ship, the magnetism powers come to light, and then it like unlocks this like this payload of missiles. I wrote down Lugnut must be jealous, the level of missiles that come out of this.
Oh, many missiles. But yeah, you're right. That's and what a cool thing. I mean, like that's very much a Omega Supreme thing. It's almost a Autobot City thing where it's just like just guns, just flipping out of him. But yeah, it's impressive. First of all, this interface that he has with Ratchet, like you said, but then like after he gets his second wind, Omega just like lays waste to all these assholes. Like it is a pretty cool fight. Like he's got like guns coming out of his shoulders, out of his chest. At one point, like his head turns around and does the head turret thing. It's very satisfying. It is very, very cool.
Yeah, it's so awesome. And then back at the space bridge situation. More Megatron carrying Optimus like a ragdoll.
Yeah.
I love that. That's still going on. Prowl's continuing to hum, much to Bee's chagrin.
Will you give it up already?
But suddenly it works. You know, the force deems itself at the right time to act. Suddenly the stasis cuffs open. The humming, quote unquote, paid off. And if it couldn't get more luscious for me personally, just instantly out of the cuffs, shuriken.
Yeah, right. Like instantly, no hesitation.
Right. And it goes and it nicks Optimus's stasis cuffs just before he's absorbed into like the Stargate of the space bridge. What a great, like perfectly timed moment.
Yeah, I mean, he's like almost all the way in. Like all you could see is like his feet and ankles, and then man just grapplers himself right out of it.
Yeah, I love the instantness of you know, Prowl stasis cuffs opens, shuriken, Optimus's stasis cuffs open, tow cable. Like they're so precise in what they need to do.
So fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool. So like I think it's here now where it's like, oh no, the space bridge needs more juice. If only we know where to get more Allspark fragments. And again, I thought that this was it for Starscream. Like what I thought was going to happen. So, you know, after Megatron like tears his head out of the wall, I thought that he was Megatron was going to do to Starscream what Thanos did to Vision and just like rips the Mind Stone like right out of his head and just be like,
oh yeah,
tink, and just like drops his empty head like at his feet or something.
Oh my gosh, I can't believe we've never like made that analogy before. But yeah, like the fragment of the stone like bringing Vision to life. Like that it really is much like that.
Instead, they just I do love the visual humor here. They just throw his head around like a basketball. Like Megatron throws it to Mix, who just puts head and all into the chamber there.
I called it the Mr. Fusion. It looks like the Back to the Future 2 Mr. Fusion, doesn't it?
It really does. It's pretty cool.
That turned out to be too much power. And I had just gotten done watching the Trump speech, so it was like, no more electricity, President Trump. Please, it's too much. Take it back, President Trump. It's too much electricity.
Too much electricity. and poor Shockwave is just watching this on TV. He's like, oh no.
He's already flipped to another channel. He's just bored of it.
Yeah, right. But this sequence becomes very harrowing really quick because like then it becomes like the end of the Monster Squad, where it's just like the portal is collapsing and is just like drawing everything in, like the base is being tore apart. RIP to the private blend, like all that oil is getting sucked in, and Optimus is about to be sucked in. He tries to use the axe to save himself. At the same time, Megatron uses his sword to plant his feet as well. And he's about to lay down the blow. And I feel like this is really a almost kind of like a Batman Begins type of situation where it's a real, like, you give up sure footing to ensure a killing blow. And just as he's about to smoke Optimus, click on go the stasis cuffs. And that is enough for Megatron to lose his balance, lets go of the sword, and get sucked up into the Stargate.
Yeah. Oh, totally wild. Yeah, then from there, Optimus frees. I love this. This is a great moment of teamwork. Optimus frees Bulkhead, Prowl frees Bumblebee. They grab Sumdeck and Bolt. It's just this one quick, swift.
Yeah.
God, they're proficient. They have just hit their stride, I feel like.
And it shows that they are such a great team. Meanwhile, out of what I would only think would be the original Marvel Comics issue with Omega Supreme, he's had enough of these assholes. And just like, it almost feels like he was there only to distract them. Like, you know, because like you don't want to like defeat them too much, but you also want to hold them off. But you also want to keep him occupied. And like as soon as Omega looks over his shoulder and sees that his friends are safe, he's just like, fuck you, Megabus.
Right. Well, I believe he says like Autobots in danger or something to that effect.
Yeah.
That's really, I thought that moment got me a little choked up too, a little bit. It's just like, you know, all these things that like it was such a struggle to get him back in the battle. But once he sees Autobots in danger, it's like business as usual.
Yeah, he knows. He knows what he has to do. And I misspoke earlier when I said like he sees that his friends are safe, because they are not safe, but he sees that he has other priorities. His priority is no longer to distract the Starscreams, it's to help his friends. And my goodness, what an entrance, what a presence this guy makes when like, you know, just immediately puts himself in the line of fire of this collapsing space bridge.
Yeah.
And it's cool too, because like when he puts himself in front of it, I don't know how the physics of this really works, but like as soon as Omega makes his entrance, the vacuum effect stops. Like, you know, Mix and Scrap fall over, all the Autobots stop being pulled in, and Optimus just like the surprise and reverence that he has when he sees Omega Supreme, it looks like his eyes are getting glassy, like he's about to roll a tear, that he sees that his friend has returned to save them.
Omega Supreme? You're online.
And you know, from there, we're just going straight Wrath of Khan, because like Omega knows what he has to do, and he's, you know, without hesitation ready to sacrifice himself for his friends. I forget where, but somewhere in here he has a line. I don't remember if it's to Optimus or if it's to Ratchet, but he's just like, it's my job to sacrifice for you guys. And it's heartbreaking, because it's like, dude just came back online, and like that doesn't even, his own mortality isn't even a concern to him. His only objective is to protect his friends. Like you said, Autobots in danger.
Yeah. It's just like a line of programming almost.
Yeah.
I believe that's to Ratchet, because I think he has to explain himself to Ratchet, because this is a great doctor moment, right? Like this must be, not only is this like he brought his patient back online, but the fact that like he wants to sacrifice himself, that must just not compute to Ratchet. Like his sole duty is to like keep, you know, soldiers alive, right? And this one's like sacrificing himself. Like, is there a bigger grenade to throw yourself on? No way. This just must be so hard for Ratchet to process.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and it's not like this at all, but it almost reminds me of that scene in Saving Private Ryan, where like, you know, the soldier gets like, you know, nicked on the helmet by a bullet strike, pulls off his helmet, he's like, holy shit, blam, gets his head blown.
Oh yeah.
Immediately after, you know, that kind of thing. Where and there was an episode of, it was in Strange New Worlds, where like during the war, where it's like, you know, there were like these like they weren't cadets, but they were like scientists or something like that. It's like, no, you're soldiers now. You have to go out in the meat grinder. And there is one particular one of the kids who was a cadet gets brought back. Doctor fixes him up, and it's the same thing. He's like, well, I'm going back out there. Immediately gets murdered. You know, it's you know, that kind of thing. I mean, it's just like, and to have that trauma as a doctor, to like, dude, I just fixed you. It's like, I just patched you back up. And again, the first thing you do is go back out there and get your head blown off. God damn it. Like that has got to be, for like a combat medic, that has just got to burn your ass.
Oh yeah. There's a layer of like sadness. There's a layer of exhaustion. of like, how many more times do I have to do this? Like,
Yeah.
Just, you just doing the complete opposite of what my job is.
And the heartbreak of it too, where like, even Ratchet is pleading with Omega. He's just like, please don't do this. There's another way. And then turns out that this floor has another false bottom. We're at like 3 false bottoms here for this contraption here. And just spits him out of his knee there. And the Autobots escape, and you have kind of like this, I forgot about this little moment here too that kind of reminded me of Transformers the movie a little bit, where like Ratchet and Sorry are in free fall, and like Ratchet just kind of like does this thing where he just kind of like carefully tries to cradle Sorry. Like, I'm surprised he just didn't turn into vehicle mode, but it reminds me of when like Hot Rod and Daniel get shot off of the mountain, and he just kind of like holds him close to his body without squashing him.
Right.
One of the coolest bits of animation too, because like it like zooms in on Hot Rod's face, and you can see like the lines under his eyes and stuff. And like all like the shading and the light reflecting off. Really, really very cool. I remember that just leaving an impression on me. But anyway, so
if I can jump into, it's kind of a great moment here, because it's a sad moment for Ratchet, but it's a happy moment for Sorry, because she's reunited with her father.
Oh, right.
Lair kind of starts to cave in. Bumblebee races in, gets them out of there. It's a real, I love that dichotomy of emotion, right? Like someone's worst moment is someone else's best moment. It's kind of a beautiful thing there.
Absolutely.
Do you like tragedy? I don't know.
Yeah, but no, you're right. And like it changes quickly, where it's just like Sorry is kind of sharing Ratchet's sorrow now that Omega has passed through the space bridge, and the bridge is collapsed. So the space bridge is no longer a problem, but like you go going from like that sadness to that elation to seeing her father again and being reunited after so long. But then also it's cut short here too. Again, there is so much Transformers the movie in here that like I didn't even realize until we were talking about it. But it's like, it's like as the crew is reunited, as Unicron is being torn apart, like, Hot Rod has the Matrix. He's now Rodimus Prime, and he's like, now light our darkest hour. And like the darkest hour is being lit, and Unicron is tearing himself apart. And like, it's God, I'm going to roll a tear because I love this movie so much. I mean, I love this moment so much because like it's one that like is kind of divisive in the fans. Like I part ways with the APDC guys on this. Like there's this part where like, Unicron is like being torn apart. All the Autobots are reunited, and like, Spike is like, hey, Springer, what's going on? He's like, no time to answer that now. We need to go. And like, they're just going to leave. But then like Daniel is like, he's like, look down the hallway, and it's fucking Rodimus Prime just like running down the hallway, destruction coming behind him. And he stops, and like a person that has kind of matured into adulthood, he says like,
Autobots, transform and roll out.
And then they all take off. The APDC guys, their take on it is a little more like a kid doing your dad's voice, that kind of thing.
Sure.
Which I accept that take, because Judd Nelson really is laying it on. He's like, Autobots, it's like he really puts some like grit into it. But I love it though, because he's expressing that he's asserted himself into his full power now. So it's like fucking like the music is going, and it's just such a cool moment.
Yeah. It is great.
And but anyway, so a version of this happens here now where Sorry and Isaac Sumdac are reunited, and it's tearful, but it's like no time for that, because this whole thing is going to blow. Let's get the fuck out of here. Like Bumblebee rolls up, and he's just like, let's go. Let's get out of here. And again, maybe it's just because I had Transformers the movie on the brain, but it's like when Spike and Daniel climb into Rodimus Prime and they get out of there. It's just people getting into a car. Sometimes a cigar is just a cigar, but like, I love this moment where the Autobots just leave out of the mine shaft, and it really is very similar in composition to how they escape from Unicron's head.
Absolutely.
So that's kind of iconic, but what a sad coda at the end of this. So the Autobots have escaped, but that's not the only Transformers that are still stuck in there.
Right. Yeah. Just to get a teammate back, just to lose it so fast. And that moment where, like you said, Optimus kind of recognized Omega Supreme, like that didn't even need to be in there, but that's just one of those little bits of world building I love. It's like, oh, Optimus knows who this is. Optimus gets why this is a big moment. Like, I just love that thing. But yeah, they're outside. They've escaped. Mikey, if you thought we were done with reveals, though, you're sorely mistaken, because now as they're all gathered outside watching the flaming ruins of the Decepticon Lair, oh boy, buckle up, because Sari's holding her injured arm. She's kind of she's extolling the virtues of her honorable father, trustworthy father. Yeah. Never keep anything from any of them, right? Like, this moment just layers it on, only to reveal that her damaged arm has circuitry coming out of it.
Yeah. And it's very Tron looking here. There are sparks coming out of it. And it's so funny how like cheerful she is, because she's just like, and my dad is so awesome. And she's like, what the fuck?
God, what a mind.
Everybody is also like, all the Autobots are shocked. Like, what is happening? And Isaac, following up on a conversation he tried to have an entire season ago, because like he's been trying to have this conversation with Sari since the finale of season 1, and he's just like, hey, by the way, we need to talk. Hey, by the way. I mean, it's a real Finn situation here where he's just like, by the way, I have something to tell you. Right. And it caps off with this where he's just like,
Sari, we need to talk.
And it's just like, too late, motherfucker. It's like, first of all, talk fast. Yeah, I mean, I don't even know what's going on here, but I know it is not good.
Yeah, I mean, just what a moment. Like, what just, this show knows how to do a cliffhanger, right?
It really does. So before we move on to the post-credit scene, or shall we say, actually, this is literally a credit scene because it happens during the credits. But also, I want to touch on the seemingly the end of the Constructicons. Because like the Autobots escape, and I don't remember if there's a line where somebody says like, hey man, come with us, but like Mixmaster is pretty emphatic about like, no, I'm just gonna die here with all this oil, because like the remainder of the private blend that didn't get sucked through the space bridge is just there. It's like, Mix and Scrap are there amidst rubble and oil barrels, probably more oil than they would ever want. And like, it doesn't linger on it long enough, but the implication is just like, no, we're going to die here. Like, this is what we want. It's any number of movies where it's just like, I choose the treasure. I could choose to live, or I could choose the treasure. It could be in no fewer than 2 different Indiana Jones movies where it's just like, well, I want the artifact. Well, no, you want to live. It's like, Indiana, let it go. That kind of thing.
Absolutely.
And I wish that there would have been something like, maybe like over Bulkhead's shoulder. It would be Bulkhead that would have line. He's like, come on, guys, let's go.
Right. Right. That would have been like a righteous moment, or that would have been like a redemption story, for an arc for him.
Yeah. And just because like, even though he, felt betrayed, and Bulkhead doesn't know what they remember and what they don't, but still, just to be like, have that connectivity of friendship of just like, come on, guys, let it go. Let's get out of here. Let's, choose to live, that kind of thing.
Right.
But they don't. And they are seemingly crushed under a mountain of the collapsing mine. And for me, first time viewer, I don't know what the trajectory of the series is. This may be it. Because like I've told you in a few other episodes, I feel like anytime I see a character, because of the way animation works, and I know that there are so precious few episodes in season 3, that anytime I see a character now, I assume that that's the last time I've seen them, or like in a guest starring.
Oh, sure.
So it's like, I don't know if I'm going to see those humans ever again. I don't know if I'm going to see Headmaster ever again. Or is it the last we've seen of the Headmaster? Mike from the future here to talk about a project that we only heard about just after we recorded the episode. But Transformers Animated superfan Kian Carlisle and superstar artist Josh Perez have made a Transformers Animated fan comic called The Headmaster Levels Up. It's a 22-page comic set during Season 3, and all proceeds from this project will be split between Bill Forster's Medical Fund and the Bat Conservation International from Derek J. Wyatt's obituary. Now, the first run of these books sold out within a couple hours of TF Nation earlier this summer, but digital and physical copies will be available for sale for everyone in late August, plus a dub from Alex Polinsky, Townsend Coleman, and David Kay. Here's a taste.
Buenos nachos! Noob chachos!
Whose bright idea was it to bring this foreign contaminant onto the Elite Guard flagship?
If any bot can turn this situation around, it's Bumblebee. Granted, he's the only bot who can cause a situation like this.
This from Kian Carlisle himself on Twitter, quote, "We wanted to tap into Derek's seemingly limitless backlog of unfulfilled ideas and make a story that doesn't step on the toes of anything Marty and crew may have wanted for a fourth season. It's just a fun, unofficial return to TFA, and we're really proud of what we have here," end quote. So, now, for you, it's the end of the month. Not quite for me yet, so what you need to do is go check out Kian Carlisle's YouTube and social media channels for access to the Ko-fi page and for more information. But for now, let's get back to the show. You know, it's and same thing with the Constructicons here. For all I know, these guys are dead. So,
oof, man, yeah, I didn't even think about that. I was so buried in the circuitry in Sari's arm, I forgot about the Constructicons entirely. That's a tragic take.
It's a lot going on, and again, this episode is so jam packed, and that's why I say this episode is different than A Bridge Too Close Part 1, because like Part 1 is just ratcheting up tension, and this one is just like we're telling different stories and paying off different beats. Like I feel like Part 2 kind of pays off a lot more than Part 1 sets up, if that makes sense.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And we could end it right there. That'd be a great finale, but we get this
so good,
very beautiful post. Well, like you said, it's not post credits. It's during the credits that just runs through the credits. But it's this so cool. It's this slow, long pulling back through the galaxy. But it's, you know, this deep space staring contest, I call it, between Megatron and Starscream's head. I just thought, how positively Shakespearean when I saw this. Like,
oh my gosh, yes.
Just stuck, you know, those two stuck together in all of eternity. Like, what a place to end it.
Yeah, and they are just stuck bickering. Like, and the bickering, ironically enough, is so childish, because it's just like, stop staring at me. I'm not staring. I'm not touching you. I'm not touching you. I'm not touching you. And it's Starscream says something like, your face is ugly too, or some shit like that. But Megatron here, he's just like, oh, just take me offline now. It's like, oh, woe is me. I'm just ready to peace out. But then Starscream, most accurately, he's just like, look, motherfucker, what do you think I've been trying to do this whole time? And
something we can agree upon.
and what I can only describe as a psychotic break. Like that just breaks Starscream. He's just done for now. He's like, what do you think I've been trying to do for the last 4 million stellar cycles? And he loses it. He's just laughing. And he's like, it's funny, really, when you think about it, tragic, but funny. And it's just like, oh my gosh. And I don't know, man, at a time where the bickering is escalating, I love the coldness of Corey Burton here as Megatron, and just that flat, oh, shut up.
That's right. Well, actually, good. I'm glad you bring that up, because I wanted to mention this thing. Last night I was flipping through the Allspark Almanac, and I wanted to bring this up because we haven't really talked about the Allspark Almanac a lot on this show. Like, I thought I'd be like digging into it for every episode.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
The more I do, the more it's like spoilery for you. It's kind of written in character. The insightful stuff just hints at season 3. Like, it just finds me hard to find an excerpt, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
But I came across this just completely randomly. It flipped open to a page and it's sort of quotes from like the voices of the characters. And why I latched onto this one, because I have been saying this theater kid dramatic Megatron thing for a long time. And I've taken some pushback on it. People don't like the theater kid analogy, but I want to read you this line from Corey Burton about Megatron. Megatron, as with most Decepticon-type characters, Corey Burton views as a cold-hearted machine bent on a singular purpose, to dominate and control everything, bringing order to the universe. They harken back to old horror movie villains, twisted and relishing the suffering of others. Burton allowed some very melodramatic Shakespearean-style actors like John Hurt in his more demonic roles to inform his Megatron. In a great quote from Corey Burton here, Megatron is a bully, but an elegant bully.
Oh, wow.
I just think that's so cool. And just like, yeah, this is exactly what we've been saying.
Yeah, I love it. A bully, but an elegant bully. That's terrific. Because that encapsulates it in a way that we haven't been able to. Like, you know, it's one of those things where you say 12 words when one will do. That type of thing. Because that's what it comes down to. It's like, you know, Megatron is a user and an abuser.
Yeah. And it also shows that Corey Burton really understood the assignment, right? Like,
absolutely.
He gets it. He got it.
Yep, for sure. That's
beautiful.
That is pretty amazing. So yeah, so
we're here.
Yeah. So not only is that the end of the episode, but that is the end of season 2, my friends. My goodness.
Wow. We're here.
So I think as we close out or get closer to closing out, because you're probably looking at your podcast timer, not unlike when I was watching Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 of 1. It's like there's still an hour left in this episode. What are you talking about as we wrap up? But no, we kind of wanted to do like a couple different kind of coda adjacent things. Like, you know, we've got the, you know, Mike's G1 score. We have a whole ton of listener feedback that we'll try to get through. But I think from there, one of the things, Michael Andrews, that you wanted to kind of talk about was how would you like to on-ramp this match game type of thing for the very end?
Yeah, I guess I wanted to sort of see if we would have kind of the same answers for questions, but also just kind of see like overall kind of a way to look back through the whole season as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I would like to do your favorite new character from season 2.
Oh yeah.
Your favorite or most iconic moment from season 2, and just your favorite episode of season 2.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So, and we're doing this match game style. So now I have to get into the psychology of what Michael Andrews thinks that I'm going to say, because the goal is to match with him.
Wait, no, I didn't mean it to be like that way in the match game. Sorry, you don't have to do it that way.
I'm just teasing.
Okay, I was like, there's a part of me that thought a version of that would be fun, but no way. Let's just do it.
That does sound pretty fun though.
Right.
Right. Okay, so you know, we've met a lot of cool new characters in season 2, and I'm sure we can chat more in like G1 scores or whatever. But like, you know, when I think about the characters we've met and the ones that I was looking forward to and not being disappointed, I would have to say that my favorite new character would be Swindle.
Oh, wow.
Because he's so cool. And it's like, and I would want to give an honorable mention to Slipstream, but like, the thing is like she isn't named, and it's recency bias. So it's like I have to go with a character that I've been thinking about for a while. Swindle lives rent free in my head. He's terrific, and I guess if I were to give a other honorable mention, I would have to give it up to my girl Slow-Mo as well. Insert wolf.
You would give it up to slow-mo
in a heartbeat. Oh my goodness. Whew.
Oh boy,
hot under the collar. It's real hot. Rhinos.
Kind of hot in these rhinos.
Do you just want to go back and forth, or do you want to do all?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay,
let's do that. So I think originally I was thinking Ultra Magnus, but that's not the game because we met Ultra Magnus technically in the very first episode of Transformers ever.
That's true.
So let's not do that. So I guess if we're talking brand new character never seen before, for me. Oh, I almost said Blur, but I think it's Wreck-Gar.
Yeah.
I think for me, Wreck-Gar was just such a great character. There's an innocence there. I love the voice. I love the toy. I mean, I don't think I've ever shared this, but actually, or maybe I did, but getting the Wreck-Gar action figure at my very first TFCon, like jump-started me recollecting all my missing animated toys. Like that was really the figure that I was like, oh, I love this character so much. I've wanted this for so long. And once I had it in my hand, I was like, oh my gosh, I want the rest of the animated toy line. So I've just always like those colors and everything. He resonated with me in a way like the original Wreck-Gar didn't. Like I've never been a super huge fan of the Junkions.
Yeah.
But this was like, oh, I really like this character. Just the innocence of it, right? In that moment of like, I can choose to be a hero now. Like I something about that really stuck with me.
And it's Weird Al's performance, like you already said, like the innocence. And so for as much as you like Weird Al's innocence, I delight in Fred Willard's smarminess. Like right,
it's a good dichotomy there.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like it's delicious. It's so good. It's so good.
Yeah. I think that character design is really cool, Swindle. I think maybe seeing Fred Willard in such a smarmy role is tough for me. Like I always picture him as like this lovable kind of grandpa type.
Yeah.
So it is kind of tough for me, but he nailed it. Like he really. I don't think if people didn't see Transformers animated, they'd know he have that acting chops. I almost think this is a very unique role for him.
I think so, and for me, it's kind of helped me rediscover the Fred Willard back catalog. Like, you know, I watched A Mighty Wind a couple months ago. So like in my vocabulary, it's like, hey, what happened?
Oh
like,
my
I do that a lot. It is like
the best part of that whole movie is Fred Willard.
It's so good and so fun. So for and that's why I went with that, because like, I mean, I love Weird Al as Wreck-Gar. I mean, obviously it's iconic and it's terrific, but like in terms of like what's stuck with me, like what I take and carry with me, it's Fred Willard as Swindle for me.
For sure.
That's kind of my thing. Moving on.
Yeah. What about favorite or most iconic moments? You pick.
Oh boy. I mean, in a season that in itself is iconic, like you take like TFA season 2, you think about going from the Elite Guard to A Bridge Too Close Part 2, and there's just like so many bangers in there and a lot of stuff that just is just so resonating. God, I really got to think on this one. It's because like each of the episodes kind of stands alone in a weird kind of way that the season 1 episodes don't. Like there's a lot of like A plot, but also B plot, that kind of thing, kind of like, you know, Allspark villain of the week. But I guess in terms of like iconic moment, my iconic moment, Starscream murder montage from Mission Accomplished.
Oh God, great one.
You know, and it's I mean, I don't know if we're picking specific moments or scenes or sequences, but from like the moon on, where it's just like, and in fact, I think the moon is kind of like in the middle of it, where but like just that imagery that will always stick with me is like Lugnut and Blitzwing hurling Starscream's lifeless body off of the ledge again and again and again is just so cool. Like,
there's also like a dark comedy element to it, right? Like you've seen that before of like throwing the body over. It's almost comical, but that's a great one. And I think that montage is great because it kind of broke the formula of the show of what we were expecting to see. Like this music cues up and it's this montage. That moonlight scene didn't even need to be there, but it's so beautiful.
Absolutely.
I think I'm going to go with a little bit of a cop-out answer. I don't know if it's a cop-out, but just those first moments when the Elite Guard symbol is revealed through the smoke, when the Elite Guard steps off the ship, like
absolutely,
you just can't beat that for me. I love that symbol. I think I mentioned how much I just love that. I get that sticker. I put that on everything. Yeah. The Elite Guard symbol spoke to me in a way like just the Autobot symbol alone doesn't.
Right. Like, and if we were playing true match game, that is absolutely what I would.
What you would have picked. Sure.
Yeah, because I mean, I don't think that's a cop out at all, because like it's iconic. Literally, we're talking about iconic moments. Right, and just like, and I would give in tandem to that, the three of them standing, like, Ultra Magnus with the hammer, and with Jazz and Sentinel off to his side as his lieutenants there. It's a pretty cool reveal, and it's a pretty cool shot. Yeah, I mean, definitely iconic for sure.
Well, and to give you that shot and frame these characters in such a way, and then just tee them up to be like almost bad guys through the whole season, or like never doing anything great. Like when you first saw that moment of them on the ship, you're like, oh, well, here's three heroes coming down the ramp. And it was just about the opposite. I mean, Jazz a little bit, but even he was, off to a rocky start. I just think it's so cool. They played with that. They played with like, these guys are definitely going to be the best heroes of the whole show. Nope.
Yeah. We thought so in 2008.
Right. Indeed.
Yeah. Sorry, buddy. Nostalgia busted.
Yeah.
Consider that nostalgia busted.
Yes.
These guys are assholes.
Gift and a curse.
Yep.
Favorite episode proper.
Yeah, this one's really hard, because there's some right bangers in there. But for me, you talked about cop-outs, and this is a bit of a cop-out answer as well. But it has to be Auto Boot Camp. Has to be.
Oh my gosh, my favorite episode.
Wow, we matched. Ooh, hard hands. But I mean, it has to be, right? Because and not only for the content of the episode and the iconic status of that episode, but also for our podcast. It's like, we finally had a mechanism to bring in the APDC guys, and that was a long time coming. Everybody had been clamoring for it, and it did not disappoint.
What a fun episode to record too. I just still listen to that sometimes, belly laughing.
Exactly. And it's so funny that you mention it from that context, because if I were to give an honorable mention, I would give a honorable mention to Black Friday as well, because what a truly unhinged episode of an episode that in itself is not all that unhinged, but I can't watch that episode without thinking about Snarl and his veiny club. And it's just like there's an association and a memory. And for me, I really thought coming into this, when you sent me those questions, I thought I would go in with garbage in, garbage out, but it's fun. It's iconic, but I don't go back to it. I've been back to Auto Boot Camp a couple times. I've been back to Black Friday a couple times. Shit, I've been back to Sorry No One's Home a couple times. That's a fun ass episode. It's so I really like the back end of it. And really, if you look at all the episodes, the one that unfortunately kind of gets forgotten about is Velocity. But in any other season, it's a fun ass episode.
Yeah. Velocity. I've been saying for this whole show that Auto Boot Decepticamp is my favorite episode, so I kind of had to go with that. But I think recontextualizing it, I really liked Velocity. I was very much surprised how much I enjoyed watching that episode, and it was one of my favorite episodes to record of this show and talk about.
Yeah.
A lot came out of that, surprisingly.
I feel the same way about Rise of the Constructicons. Because we were saying a lot about class and station in life and just addiction and friendship. Think back to the nice note that Matthew Barbaria wrote us. He was just like, man, I had a friend who was toxic and I had to cut him out, and it was such a hard thing to do. So it's like in terms of raw emotions, that Rise of the Constructicons episode really dredged up a lot of stuff that I don't think either of us was looking for, but when we found it, it was remarkably satisfying.
Yeah, 100%.
So yeah, lots of good stuff there.
Good stuff. Good season.
What a fun ass season.
Yeah. We had some good times. We had some good times, didn't we?
Yeah, exactly. Oh no, I hear Billy Joe Armstrong. It's like time grabbing you by the wrist and directing you where to go. And it's like, oh no, Billy Joe Armstrong has a remarkably short nap. Like it's like goes to bed in end of August, and then we wake him up when September ends. It's really only taken like a month off.
Really.
All right. So with that, it is time one last time for this season. I guess it's time for Mike's G1 score. So a lot going on here as we're rounding out our conversation about a Bridge Too Close Part 2. And it is kind of a cop-out answer, but I have to go with the K2SO answer. It's like it's high, it's very high, that kind of thing. But there's like too many things. Like and there were so many things that dredged up during our conversation. Like there was some Transformers the movie stuff I kind of thought about, like the ramjet kick and things like that. But the Starscream clones, there's so much in here. So for as much of a cop-out as it is, in observation of the recently passed 38th anniversary of the Transformers, the movie, I'm going to give this a solid 8.6 on the G1 scale.
Wow.
High.
Oh, I love it. 8.6. Very clever. I'm here for it.
But yeah, I mean, like I said, there's almost too much to relitigate at this point, just in terms of like G1 imagery. But like, I would give these as a 2-part tandem to folks that are curious about TFA, but don't really know where to jump in, because there's almost so much lore packed in here and so much payoff that it becomes anti-lore. In a weird kind of way. There's so much lore that you almost don't need the lore, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because like you'll be so thrown off, like, who are these characters? What's going? Because all you will see is green and purple Constructicons. You'll see Shockwave talking through a television. You have a space bridge plot. It's like, so it's a lot of G1 tropes that sure has the TFA treatment and a coat of TFA paint on it, but like, seeing other Seekers, seeing Blur, that kind of stuff. It's just like, this is something I would give to a 86 movie fan and say, look what this did. It's like, it's not the thing you think it is, but it's a riff on it. And I think somebody who, like myself, is kind of like an 86 aficionado would pick up on those things. It's like, did he just kick that guy? just like the other guy kicked that other guy. I think I don't think that's just me. I think other folks would pick up on that as well, or at least I would like to hope so. LOL.
No, that's a really good point, because this finale, actually, I don't want to use this kind of flippantly, but it throws away a lot of what we know about Transformers animated lore in general. Like, Bulkhead's a genius now, and all these reveals have been shown. Like, this would be kind of a good jumping point in that way.
Yeah, because I think back to really kind of my first true exposure was Along Came a Spider. It's like, a third of the way through season 1. Yeah, in fact, episode 6, like literally halfway through. And I didn't know who these characters were. I didn't know what their dynamic was. But all I knew is that there's a plot and a spider lady. A curvy spider lady with swishy hips. And I'm just like, but seriously, like I thought it was actually a good way to jump into the world of TFA, because I didn't know the history of the characters. So like, as weird as it sounds to recommend a season finale, it's like, give folks an episode that's a banger, that kind of thing. At a time, like, if like Garbage In, Garbage Out isn't available, because I think that would be a brilliant single serve episode as well.
For sure. For sure.
So that being said, let's expand it further then, and we'll just kind of like do a season G1 score. And I'm going to flip it the other direction, like almost completely invert it. I'm going to give it a 6.8.
Hey, all right.
Because it's more than a pass, but it's not on the whole, because you got supervillains being rotten in here. You got a goddamn riff on a Home Alone. You got like a Slime Man. You have the Constructicons recontextualized as drunks. You've got like an entire episode of Miami Vice, Furious in here, and you have the return of the Headmaster. I mean, come on. So it's like, but thinking about it as a whole, it's certainly more G1 than it isn't. Like, I mean, you've got Retgar, you've got Swindle, you've got Blur, you've got the Constructicons. So you've got a lot of like heavy hitter G1 characters. But again, this show knows what to do in the sandbox that it's made for itself. So it is so delightfully Transformers animated that it can't be G1, which is why I love about it. It's great.
That's a great take.
Super rad.
Super rad.
I love it. So that's again, Michael Andrews, what a season this has been.
Oh man, I gotta take a breath. It was just emotional and physical roller coaster. Season 2 of Transformers Animated.
I think so. And I don't know about you, but I am getting pretty cooked. And I'm thoroughly spent. I think like the side festing and the amount of time that we're doing in these episodes is really kind of starting to catch up to me. So we are, as far as the future of the show, obviously we're coming back for season 3. So don't even worry about that.
We can announce that here.
We can. If it wasn't clear. Yeah, if it was not clear, we are coming back for season 3, but we are not coming back for season 3 right away. Like I desperately need to recharge my batteries. Like I need some more Allspark fragments. Somebody needs to stick a Starscream head in that Mr. Fusion reactor. So I need to kind of be away from the project for a few, but we are sitting on a lot of terrific listener feedback. Like I was just going back through some of the stuff, like, since we had Matthew Barbario on for the previous episode, we, or 2 episodes ago, sorry. Sorry, not sorry. Colon the tookening. You're about to get tooken. But anyway, there was a lot of Matthew Barbario quotes I didn't read. But anyway, like there's what I think what we would like to do is do a separate mailbag episode. Podcasts do that from time to time, where they just unzip the mailbag, and so I think we're going to do that way. I think that will be the next motion of the podcast, and we're most likely going to do it as a live stream, most likely as kind of like a late evening hangout. So it's a real BYOB situation. So bring your favorite beverage and get into the chat and tell us about your beverages while I read emails from people.
We'll just say bring your oil, and you can define oil as however you have come away from it from this season.
There you go. It's the return of the uncontrollable live stream. That's what we're going to have to call it, /mailbag. But I'm sure fluid legislation will come up as a time.
How could it not?
But yeah, so I think that's what we're going to do for the fall, and beyond that, stay tuned. Because like I said, we are coming back, but we're just not coming back right away. In the meantime, if you want to keep in touch with us, we are on social media. You can follow the show accounts at 2 Mikes 2 Furious, both with number 2s, on the Facebook, the Instagram, and the Twitter. I am at Mike Seibert Radio. I'm most active on Twitter, but I also mess around with Facebook and Instagram. And I've recently blown the dust off of my Blue Sky account. Like apparently folks were trying to get in touch with me there. And like, I didn't even tell this story. Like I was at Cybfest, and a artist, Matthew, did a Miss Attitude commission for Lucky for her Jeep. And he presents the drawing to my wife, and he's like, are you on Blue Sky? I'm like, yeah, but I don't use it. He's like, people are trying to reach you there. And now people are asking me to reach you there because they knew I was going to be at Seibfest. And it's like, Matthew, while you're at Seibfest, tell Mike to check his Blue Sky. So anyway, so I dabble with that occasionally. And Michael Andrews, if folks wanted to chat with you, how could they do so?
Yeah, I'm most active on Twitter at Michael Andrews. That's Mikel, if you haven't figured that out by now. Yeah, come find me. Come at me, bro, but in a nice way, digitally only.
There you go. Exactly. So, and well, it's not summertime anymore, so don't read Michael Andrews' books. Never mind.
Oh, please put it down. Put down all books by Michael Andrews.
But yeah, buddy, you know, like we were talking about, this feels like kind of like closing the yearbook. Like again, I can hear Billy Joe like through the wall.
I know. Like, stay sweet and have a good summer, Mike.
Summer's over. The dog days are over. But why is Florence and the Machine having a rap battle with Green Day? How's that happening? Battle of the Band.
Right.
But no, this season has been incredible. Like I think this has been iconic for us. Like in a lot of ways, like this is kind of like where I feel like we've hit our stride and we've really expanded the show. Like, I mean, we just came off of a half dozen episode run with all guest stars on it.
Yeah.
And it's like, I mean, that's pretty special. And those have been really fun episodes. And, you know, even like, you know, meeting like Laura the Torbs at TFCon LA, you know, and getting like a Soundwave friendship bracelet and, you know, giving them pins in exchange and things like that, you know, going to Seibfest and, you know, giving out buttons and having conversations with Ratchet about TFA Ratchet. It's this podcast, this project has allowed me to connect with a new audience in a way that I hadn't before. And it's really, quite frankly, something I've always longed for. I'm just like, I just want to connect with a specific niche audience in a way that Mike Seibert Radio doesn't, because it's so broad. I'm grateful for the opportunity to make new friends and to stretch some different creative muscles. It's occasionally taxing and stressful, but when I go back and listen to those episodes and how polished and complete they sound, it's like it's worth it. It's every dumb sound effect I drop in there, I feel like it's worth it.
Oh, Mike, you do such a good job. I guess in my closing, I just wanted to say thank you for all your hard effort. This has been a great opportunity for me. You know, this was kind of almost more your idea than it was mine, but now that I'm doing it, it's like been really important to me to have this to look forward to getting together with you, watching my old favorite TV show and discussing it. And just all the work you put into it. Thank you. And all the people that have listened, all the listeners just like commenting and all this stuff. I never thought it would come to this. I thought it would just be two guys having a conversation every once in a while, and the feedback and commenting and hearing all this stuff and hearing what you like and don't like. It's been amazing.
Yeah. It's a hell of a ride. Let's how about we keep doing it?
Let's do it again sometime.
Yeah. Just not this time. Not right now. But later.
Good.
But yeah, so that is it then, friends. That is a close on season 2 of Transformers Animated, and that is a curtain call on Two Mikes Too Furious season 2. Two Mikes Too Furious 2 seasons.
We did it.
Hey, Michael Andrews, make good choices.
Hey, Mike Seibert, eat some pizza.
Yeah! Post-show banter.
Yeah, I love it.
Oh my God, we did it. We did it. Cool. Well, I think that's about all I got.
Yeah, I'm gonna go to work. It's Monday morning.
Want to be a guest on the show? Send us an email to mikes2furious@gmail.com. Interact with us on social media. You can follow Two Mikes Too Furious on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Two Mikes Too Furious.
It's something unpredictable, but in the end it's right. I hope you had the time of your life.
Stop staring at me.
No, you stop staring at me.
Do you think I actually want to spend the rest of eternity gazing at your unsightly visage?
Trust me, your visage is no picnic either. And your face is ugly too.
Someone just take me offline now.
What do you think I've been trying to do for the last 4 million stellar cycles? It's funny, really, when you think about it. Tragic but funny!
Shut up.
It's something unpredictable, but in the end is right. I hope you had the time of your life.
I was playing with my Blur toy.
Oh, look at that guy.
Really cool. I was having this moment. I kind of went down a rabbit hole of, I think I've had his feet backwards the entire time I've owned him, because this way looks less natural of a foot direction. This is but it leaves like the cool Tron tire outwards.
Right.
But if you have it flipped around, it's a more natural foot shape, but it's all like black and partsy. I think it's supposed to be like this, but then I went online and like it's like 50-50 how people have them posed.
Oh, geez.
So like, I don't know. Putting it out there, putting it out to the world. I got to figure out, are you one of those people where do you just like pose it like how you like it? Or are you like, is this the factory way that we're supposed to pose this action figure?
A little bit of this, a little bit of that kind of thing. In fact, I kind of take inspiration from like other people's photos, like specifically with my animated Optimus. I look at like, it's like the kind of like axe handle over his shoulder type of thing, trying to figure out how far along on the handle to have his fist pushed through it.
Oh, sure.
Thing. So I kind of look for like inspiration in that kind of stuff. But really, quite frankly, my stuff posed on the shelf, like actually on the shelf, very unremarkable. Like currently my animated Optimus is in kind of like lumberjack mode with the axe kind of over his shoulder. But like all of my Mandalorians are just standing there. Like I think I got like one guy who's got like a gun up or something like that. But most of them are just kind of like very and even my side swipes. Like I got like one that he's got like a hand on a hip or something. Somewhere like, I do like a lot of like head tilts and stuff like that to kind of get some personality that way.
Oh, sure.
But like, I don't have my stuff posed very dynamically. I have, let me see. Like, my Legacy animated Prowl is kind of as close as I can. Like I've got like his legs as far apart as they'll go to kind of like he doing kind of like the 3-point crouch type of thing.
Oh, sure.
Doesn't look super great on that figure. That figure's too chunky for that type of posing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm not going to say it's a bad figure, but it's certainly the weakest of the three.
Sure. I'll say for the animated line, they already have these like spindly Salvador Dali type legs in a lot of cases. Over time, their poses have to get a little sassy, I'll say, to keep them upright. You really got to put out the flared leg and like balance them to have them stand up. And it ends up leading to a lot of like really cool kind of striking poses, but it's really just for balance. So like, I like you, I mean, I have a pretty more uniform shelf. There's not a lot of posing going on, right. But then you get to the animated shelf and it's just these like sassy, just because that's how you have to put them to keep them upright.
Nice.
But I love it. Blur's a little sasshole and I love it.
he is certainly sassy for sure. I love it.
As my memory rests, but never forgets what I lost, wake me up when September ends.